Chapter 1555. Experiment Success. I'm going back to Donghai, and you're definitely going back to Songshan. We're going the same way. So let's keep each other company. Oh, right, Brotherling, where's your girlfriend? She's in the Ice Palace for treatment. Lin Yi didn't explain too much to Chikuin. This person wasn't someone Lin Yi could open his heart to just yet. So Lin Yi didn't want to reveal too much to him. He only treated him as a normal friend. I see. Then congratulations, Brotherling. Chikuin said quickly. Yeah, nothing much. Let's pack up and go back. Lin Yi didn't want to talk about this. All right, I'm all packed up, ready to go anytime. What about you, Brotherling? Don't you want to rest for the night? Chikuin asked. Nah, I don't need to rest. Let's go. Lin Yi was thinking about his family. Xiao Xiao's situation was over for now, and all that was left was the exams. If he made it in time, he'd be able to take them. The Noble House meeting was just around the corner, and Lin Yi had to go with Yutin. What worried Lin Yi, however, was that he didn't find the opportunity to break through to Earth class. Perhaps it was because he'd just broken through to Mystic Late Phase, and that was why he wasn't even at Mystic Late Phase peak. If Lin Yi didn't become an Earth class, then there was no way he'd be able to make both Yu Tian and Ling Shan become Earth class. Before Lin Yi became an Earth class, he'd only be able to make Mystic Early Phase Masters. After checking out at the inn, Lin Yi and Chikuin drove away, heading toward Songshan, in order to track down the culprit. Ling Shan had sent more police officers to guard Xiao Xiao's garage. The goal was that as long as the culprit came to get the car, the police would be able to spot him. But, to Ling Shan's disappointment, the culprit seemed to have disappeared these days, not appearing in front of the public again. He didn't continue to commit crimes, and he didn't come to the garage to get the car. Of course, Jiang Wen had already gotten Scorpion to get rid of the disguised rover. The reason why 01 didn't continue to commit crimes was because he was undergoing Professor Yin's biochemical experiment. Professor Yin was now able to increase the potential of the test subject to the physical strength of a Mystic Late Phase peak in an instant. Of course, it was only for an instant, but it could only last for 3 to 5 minutes. Under normal circumstances, it didn't need to be activated. Master Wen, I've made the medicine into a capsule and put it in 01's mouth. The moment he meets an undefeatable enemy, 01 will automatically carry out the hypnotist second order, which is to bite open the capsule. This way, 01's strength will instantly reach Mystic Late Phase peak, but the duration is only 3 to 5 minutes. The effects of the medicine aren't stable, so we can only determine an approximate range. The professor reported quickly after the experiment was successful. Not bad. Jiang Wen praised after hearing the professor's words. That's already pretty good. I was worried that the police would ask for a master from the Special Investigation Department to help with the capture of 01, and that he wouldn't be able to escape. If he were to be captured by the police, then the plan would be a complete failure. As long as 01 can get away in a split second, there won't be a problem. There's another piece of good news. The professor said 01's maximum strength is Mystic Late Phase peak, but under normal circumstances, I've increased it to Mystic Early Phase with the drug, and the effect lasts for 2 hours. Not bad, there's improvement. He was only able to maintain Golden Class for that long before, but now he's Mystic. Another step forward. And as long as we can maintain 01's strength to Mystic Late Phase peak, then we'll be able to rob the noble houses. Haha. Jiang Wen said, satisfied. Right, you said that you've made the drug into capsules. Can you prepare some for me so I can carry them with me? Wouldn't I become a Mystic Late Phase peak physical practitioner then? I'm afraid not. The professor shook his head. Master Wen, the drug we're using now has a huge side effect. It's very damaging to the brain, and after taking it, the person would slowly turn into an idiot, only able to move under the hypnotist's orders. They'd lose all sense of self. That's scary. Then I don't want it. Jiang Wen jumped. What a joke. Wouldn't that make him a biochemical zombie? Don't worry too much, Master Win. I've been working on it as well. When the professor left, he took most of the data with him, and I can only restore it slowly. But don't you worry. We'll definitely be able to make you a master in the future. The professor said. That's great. Jiang Wen fantasized about the moment he became a master himself. Didn't Meng Yao like to have bodyguards? After he killed Lin Yi, he'd volunteer to be Meng Yao's bodyguard, and he'd be able to get his hands on the beauty. At the thought, Jiang Wen felt a surge of excitement. Right, let 01 continue with his crimes. The bigger the better. It'd be best if the public gets angry. That way, even if the suspect isn't Lin Yi in the end, people would still hate Lin Yi. All right, Master Win. I'll arrange for him to continue. But don't drive this time. Have him ride a motorcycle. Scorpion said. It'd be best if he's ruthless and show his face, so the police can lock onto him. Jiang Wen said. All right, no problem. Scorpion nodded. Boss Lin Yi, the snow's too heavy in front. Let's find a place to hide. Chikuin stopped his car and stuck his head out, yelling at Lin Yi's car. Chikuin was a mystic and had a lot of pure chi. Lin Yi didn't need to roll down the window to hear what he was saying. Lin Yi stopped his car as well. The snow was indeed heavy and the visibility was very low. He couldn't see what was ahead at all, and so Chikuin volunteered to be the vanguard, leading the way for Lin Yi with the lights on. Then let's rest for a while. We'll find a place to hide. Lin Yi said. There wouldn't be any obstacles, pedestrians, or cars on the road, but driving like this was still quite dangerous. There's a cave not too far. We saw it before and marked it on the map. Boss Lin Yi, shall we go? Chikuin asked. Didn't think it'd come in handy now. Chapter 1556. Chapter 1555. Lin Yi's master. All right, lead the way. Lin Yi nodded. All right, Lin Yi boss, just follow me. Chikuin said as he drove towards the cave. The car had a GPS system, and while they couldn't see clearly, they could still find the general direction. It was an endless snowfield after all, and they were both driving an off-road car, so there shouldn't be any danger. Lin Yi followed. When Lin Yi came, the snow wasn't this heavy, but on the third day Lin Yi arrived, it started to snow and it never stopped. It was still like this, so the two had to stop every now and then. As expected, with Chikuin leading the way, the two came to a cave. Chikuin took some camping equipment and got off the car, entering the cave with Lin Yi. There aren't any dead branches around here. Otherwise, we could pick them up and start a fire, Lin Yi said after looking around. No need, Lin Yi boss. I have a quick heating fire here. We can use it right away, Chikuin said as he took out a quick heating fire from his luggage, putting it in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't know whether to cry or laugh. This Chikuin had brought so many things with him. Was he here for training or camping? You sure have everything, Lin Yi said. That's right, there's even a sleeping bag. Lin Yi boss, let's spend the night in the cave, Chikuin said as he opened his luggage. There was indeed a sleeping bag inside. Lin Yi was speechless. I don't need it. I'll just sit on the ground and train. That works too. Then I don't need it. We're both practitioners. We don't need to enjoy ourselves. Chikuin didn't want to, but Lin Yi didn't need a sleeping bag, so he didn't either. I'm not enjoying it. I'm just worried that something unexpected might happen. It's not easy to make a move in the sleeping bag. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and shook his head. If an enemy attacks, then you can only wait to be beaten up in your sleeping bag. That's true, but this is the wilderness. There aren't even any animals. Where would there be enemies? Chikuin shook his head. Don't talk, someone's coming, Lin Yi suddenly said. Ah. Chikuin paused and was about to ask if Lin Yi boss was joking when he heard heavy footsteps coming closer. Someone was really coming. Chikuin jumped in fright. Who's here? I don't know, but this person's true chi is thick. I can hear it from his footsteps. Lin Yi frowned. His heart was a little vigilant. The newcomer was undoubtedly a cultivator. But Lin Yi didn't know why this person was releasing his qi when he walked, giving off a domineering aura. Did he notice Lin Yi and Chikuin, or did he have other intentions? Ah, another practitioner. Chikuin tensed up subconsciously. Don't tell me it's the Ice Palace people? Why would they come? Lin Yi said faintly. Don't talk, let's listen first. They might not be here for us. All right. Chikuin nodded. But this time they were a little unlucky. The footsteps were getting closer and closer, as if they were coming towards the cave. He's coming, be careful. Lin Yi, on the other hand, wasn't too worried. The jade on his body didn't send out any signals, so they weren't in danger yet. That person might be overbearing, but he might not be looking for them. Lin Yi, boss, are we going to make a move? Chikuin asked worriedly. No need, let's watch first. Lin Yi shook his head. As they spoke, the footsteps got nearer, evidently close to the cave. There's a cave here, let me check it out. Suddenly, the person outside the cave spoke, his voice deep and old, tired as if he hadn't rested for a long time. Chikuin shivered. This person was getting closer, and his strength could be sensed by Chikuin and Lin Yi. It was a Sky Class Late Phase Peak. Lin Yi, boss, Sky Class Late Phase Peak. Chikuin's scalp was going numb. This person is revealing his strength. What's he trying to do? Not sure, let's watch first. Lin Yi had fought with the sect master a couple of times in the Ice Palace, and he wasn't as afraid of Sky Class as before. But as to what this person's goal was, Lin Yi didn't know yet. Was he just passing by, or did he have other plans? Why would he look around when he found a cave? Finally, the person walked to the entrance of the cave and saw the fire inside, as well as Lin Yi and Chikuin. He paused and couldn't help but gasp. Lin Yi and Chikuin, on the other hand, saw the person's face. He was around 50 or 60 years old, with messy hair and tattered clothes. But he was a Sky Class, so it wasn't easy to tell his actual age. From the way he dressed, he looked like a tramp or an old madman. He didn't look like a Sky Class at all. The man entered the cave and blinked as he looked at Lin Yi. Lin Yi was about to ask when the man charged at Lin Yi like a madman. Lin Yi was shocked and quickly channeled the art of dragon mastery, using pure qi to protect his body. But how could Lin Yi dodge a Sky Class speed? The man reached Lin Yi in an instant, grabbing onto Lin Yi's shoulders. Just when Lin Yi was about to resist, the man called out, "Disciple! My good disciple, I finally found you." Lin Yi paused, not knowing what the man meant. But at the same time, Lin Yi let out a breath of relief. The man had unleashed his pure qi, but he didn't seem like he was going to attack Lin Yi. Even his hands on Lin Yi's shoulders didn't use any strength at all. "Good disciple, I knew you'd be able to avoid them," the man said excitedly, "but it's been 20 years. Why didn't you come find me? It's been so hard for me to find you." Lin Yi frowned. Hearing this, Lin Yi was completely sure that this weirdo was a madman. He seemed to think that Lin Yi was his disciple, but he said that it had been more than 20 years. So his disciple must have been separated 20 years ago. If that was the case, then he must have gotten the wrong person. 20 years ago, Lin Yi wasn't even born yet. How could he be his disciple? Chapter 1557. Did he get the wrong person? You got the wrong person. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. How could I? How could I? You're my disciple, Lier. Do you recognize your master? It's your master. Look. With that, the man brushed aside the messy hair on his forehead and turned to Lin Yi. Look at your master, Lier. Look carefully. Old mister, you've got the wrong person. I'm not Lier. Lin Yi started to sympathize with the old man. It seemed like the old man must have been separated from his disciple, and that caused him to lose his sanity. Plus, his disciple seemed to have been chased by enemies, or else he wouldn't have been able to hide from them. You're not. You're not. Impossible. How could you not be? The man's hands on Lin Yi's shoulders suddenly tightened, causing Lin Yi to feel pain. Luckily, he didn't use qi, so it didn't cause any damage to Lin Yi. I'm really not. Old mister, you've got the wrong person. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. To be honest, he had some sympathy for the old man, but there was nothing he could do about it. There was no way to communicate with a crazy person like him. No. How could you not be? You're clearly… Ah! The man suddenly screamed, his eyes turning red as he pushed Lin Yi away, holding his head with both hands as if in pain. He sat on the ground, screaming. It hurts. My head hurts. Ah! My disciple, you killed my disciple. No. My disciple isn't dead. The man's sudden action gave Lin Yi and Chikuin a fright, but it seemed like the man's mental illness was acting up, or maybe it was an old injury acting up. Either way, he was rolling on the ground in pain. Lin Yi boss, maybe we should kill him now. Chikuin hesitated before saying to Lin Yi, his eyes filled with hatred. Lin Yi was about to shake his head when the man suddenly pushed himself off the ground, jumping up to Chikuin and grabbing his arms. Who do you want to kill? It's you. You killed Li, it's you. I'm going to kill you and avenge Li, With that, the man tightened his grip, and Chikuin's arm broke with two crisp sounds. Chikuin was a practitioner, but the pain was unbearable. Cold sweat dripped down his forehead, and his legs went soft. He called for help. Lin Yi boss, save me. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was quite shocked by the man's sudden action. But he didn't act rashly even though he saw the man attack Chikuin. The man was a Sky-class late-phase peak. Even if he was an Earth-class, it wasn't worth it for Lin Yi to fight him for someone he'd just met. Moreover, this weirdo was completely insane. It was impossible to reason with him at all, and this put Lin Yi in a difficult position. Should he act or not? Of course, he hadn't known Chikuin for long, but the fact that Chikuin called Lin Yi boss meant that Lin Yi couldn't just leave him be. But what could he do now? Mister, he didn't kill your disciple. Take a closer look. Are you sure you got the wrong person? Lin Yi didn't have a choice. He could only force himself to explain, hoping that the man would understand him and let Chikuin go. Otherwise, fighting him head-on would be suicide. Yes, I didn't kill him. Look closer. I'm Zhao Chikuin, a disciple of the Hidden House Zhao. I'm not the enemy you're looking for. Chikuin was on the verge of crying. How could a Sky class be like this, saying that he killed his disciple? He wasn't an idiot, killing the disciple of a Sky class. Was there something wrong with him? It's you. Don't try to argue. I'll take your life to avenge Lier. With that, the man reached his hand out, ready to slap Chikuin's head, scaring him so much that he peed his pants. Mommy, boss Lin Yi, save me. Chikuin knew that Lin Yi wouldn't be able to help, since Lin Yi couldn't beat a Sky class, and this was a Sky class late phase peak. Lin Yi wouldn't do anything reckless, but he still called for help subconsciously. Lin Yi was very nervous as well. He wanted to help, but he couldn't. He ran over and grabbed the man's arm. Shifu, Lier's here. He didn't kill Lier. He's Lier's friend. The man shivered after hearing Lin Yi's words, and his hand that was about to slap Chikuin's head stopped abruptly. He pushed Chikuin away, ignoring him, and turned to Lin Yi excitedly. Lier, I finally found you. This is great. With that, the man gave Lin Yi a bear hug, and the moldy smell on him made Lin Yi frown. It seemed like this man hadn't changed his clothes or showered for a long time. But in order to calm the man down, Lin Yi didn't resist. Shifu, your disciple misses you too. Chikuin saw this, impressed by Lin Yi's quick thinking. He breathed a sigh of relief as well. If it weren't for Lin Yi's quick reflexes, he'd be dead already. Even if Lin Yi sent the news back to the Hidden House Zhao, they wouldn't go after a Sky-class late-phase peak for revenge. Good disciple, I knew you weren't dead. The man said, but as soon as he finished, he let go of Lin Yi and hugged his head again, going crazy. It hurts, my head hurts. Lin Yi jumped at the man's action. He was afraid that he'd go crazy again, so he quickly took out his silver needles and stuck them into the man's head. But after two, the man raged. Who are you? Are you trying to kill me? You're using hidden weapons. Shifu, it's me. I'm treating your headache. Lin Yi said quickly. Good, good, good disciple. I'm relieved now that it's you. You're Shifu and the others are traitors, colluding with evil people, trying to kill us both. The man heard Lin Yi's words, and the red in his eyes faded away, returning to calmness as he allowed Lin Yi to stick the needles into his head. All right, Shifu, it won't hurt after a while. Although Lin Yi didn't know why the man was having a headache, the way to stop the pain was the same. Lin Yi could use the needles to temporarily suppress the man's pain. Chapter 1558. Lin Yi's sigh. It's done. It's really done. My good disciple, where did you learn medicine like this? The man was surprised and happy. Yes, it must have been because I was in too much pain, so you went to learn medicine. No wonder I couldn't find you. Yes, master. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. You're too good to me. I'm so happy. The man laughed heartily, and after a while he suddenly said, wait here for me. I'll bring something back for you. As he spoke, the strange man didn't say another word before flying out of the cave and vanishing into the boundless wind and snow. In an instant, he vanished without a trace. With the speed of a sky class, a mystic wouldn't be able to see him at all if he went full speed. Full. Lin Yi saw the man leave, and he let out a breath of relief. Chikuin, on the other hand, was the same. He'd been scared to death. Lin Yi boss, you're the best. You tricked that crazy old man so easily. Chikuin said, his arms hanging at his sides. Don't talk nonsense, he might hear you. Lin Yi said faintly, he's a pitiful man, isn't he? His disciple was killed, causing him to go crazy. That's true. Right, boss, my arm. What should I do? Chikuin was a practitioner, and the pain wasn't much, but he couldn't just leave his arms hanging like that. He couldn't even drive the car anymore. I'll heal you. Lin Yi walked over and channeled the art of dragon mastery, placing his hand on Chikuin's wound. Ah. Chikuin's eyes widened in disbelief as he looked at the injured area. Miraculously, the twisted arm was turning back to its original shape. It's done, Lin Yi said, letting go of Chikuin's arms. No way. Boss Lin Yi, how are you so powerful? Chikuin raised his hands in shock. He didn't think much of it when he saw Lin Yi treat the man's headache. After all, Lin Yi being a miracle healer wasn't a secret in House Xiao. Even Yao Wang was tricked by him, so it was normal that his skills were better than Yao Wang's. But now, what Lin Yi was doing was beyond Chikuin's understanding. Lin Yi could actually use pure qi to heal people. This was beyond his imaginations. In such a short time, his arm had recovered. I know some healing mental cultivation methods. Lin Yi didn't explain too much. Instead, he shifted the topic to healing mental cultivation methods. A healing-type mental cultivation method? Awesome. Chikuin gave him a thumbs up. That idiot Zhao Qibing actually dared to fight with you, boss. He's overestimating himself. You want to be the head of the hidden house, Zhao. Lin Yi looked at Chikuin. Chikuin paused. This was something everyone knew. But for Lin Yi to say it out like this, Chikuin wasn't used to it. After a moment of awkwardness, he nodded. That's, naturally, of the hidden house's talented disciples. Which one of them doesn't want to be the head of the house? But I'm not a direct descendant, so I don't have much of an advantage. But if Zhao Qibing didn't appear, I could work hard and take over the position, but now, no need to explain so much. If you want to be the head, I'll think of a way to help you. If you don't, then we'll forget about it. Lin Yi said faintly. Of course I want to, boss. Do you have a good idea? Chikuin's eyes lit up. Not at the moment, Lin Yi said. But I'll think about it. Since you've called me boss, naturally I'll do my best to help you. But if you betray me in the future, I won't let you go. So think about it carefully. Do you still want to call me boss? From this incident with the ice palace, Lin Yi felt how insignificant he was. In front of the ice palace, Lin Yi had no way of fighting back at all. Even if Lin Yi became a sky class in the future, he might have the right to speak in front of the sect master, but he wouldn't have the strength to stand on the same level as the ice palace. If he wanted to face the ancient noble houses and ancient sects head-on, it would be impossible without his own strength. These noble houses and hidden noble houses could become Lin Yi's helpers, as long as he could pull them to his side. Even if he couldn't fight against the ancient sects and ancient noble houses, he would at least have the strength to challenge them. He wouldn't be in such a passive position like today. This was also the first time Lin Yi had the thought of getting allies. Before, Lin Yi had only come to Songshan with the attitude of a mission. He didn't want to get too involved, but now he had to plan for the future. For himself, for his lover, and for his friends. Lin Yi had walked on a path of no return. This path had deviated from what Lin Yi and even old Lin had envisioned. Right now, Lin Yi was like a boat going against the current. If he didn't move forward, he would fall behind. Only by moving forward on the path of strength could he protect himself, his lover, and his friends. The Lin Yi of the past had never thought that he would walk on this path one day. But before he knew it, he had walked further and further on this path. Even when he stopped, he couldn't turn back. The first thing Lin Yi needed to do was to confirm the resources he had. Yu Bing, Qin Tian, Qin Yutian, and Ling Shan's loyalty didn't need to be mentioned. Lin Yi wanted to see what Qikuan was thinking. If he was just using him, then Lin Yi would help him, but he wouldn't put him in his core camp. Qikuan heard Lin Yi's words and fell into deep thought. He was a smooth person, but he wasn't an idiot. Naturally, he understood what Lin Yi was implying. He didn't answer right away because that would be too fake. Plus, he couldn't just blindly agree to something like this. He knew Lin Yi's methods. He had always been cruel to his enemies, just like his brother. So, Qikuan wouldn't do something like agreeing first, and then going back on his words. He needed to think this through carefully. Lin Yi was asking him to make his stance clear, and Qikuan knew that if he agreed now, then he would be on Lin Yi's side. If he went back on his word, he'd have to pay a heavy price. But to tie himself and even the hidden house he controlled in the future to Lin Yi's chariot, he needed to think carefully. Yes, I've thought it through. After some hesitation, Qikuan gritted his teeth and nodded firmly. Chapter 1559. Chapter 1558. Half a treasure map. When he saw Lin Yi punching Naipeo and kicking Nitian, Qikuan knew that Lin Yi wasn't a normal person. And just now, Lin Yi miraculously healed Qikuan's arm, shocking him even more, since Lin Yi was this strong. So what if he followed him wholeheartedly? Plus, he would become the head of the Hidden House Zhao, and Yu Bing would become the head of the Hidden House Yu. Both he and Yu Bing would be Lin Yi's followers. This meant that House Yu and House Zhao would become close allies. It was much more reliable than the marriage before. This way, House Zhao's strength would increase by leaps and bounds. Under Lin Yi's protection, normal houses wouldn't dare offend them. All right. Lin Yi nodded. I'll let the Ice Palace take care of Qijiao and help him get stronger. Let the Ice Palace? Qikuan was a little surprised. Lin Yi was talking big like that? He knew very well what kind of existence the Ice Palace was. Lin Yi was actually talking to them. Zhang, Naipeo, and Nitian, who were both ancient level, didn't receive any special treatment. What did Lin Yi have to do with the Ice Palace? Xiao Xiao will stay in the Ice Palace, becoming an inner disciple. She's also the sect master's junior sister. Lin Yi didn't need to hide these things from Qikuan. He just wanted to make Qikuan believe in himself. Of course, Lin Yi was trying to use the tiger skin as a flag. But Lin Yi couldn't make the Ice Palace do anything for him. Asking the Ice Palace to help Lin Yi deal with other people wasn't realistic at all. But asking Xiao Xiao to help take care of Qijiao was a piece of cake. Who in the Ice Palace didn't know who Xiao Xiao was? She was the inheritor of the Ice Spirit Mountain, the next master of the Ice Palace. Who would dare to disrespect her in such an unimportant matter? Although he couldn't contact the Ice Palace directly, Lin Yi had recorded the address of the inn in the icy snow town. All he had to do was send the letter to the shopkeeper and ask him to pass it on. Ah, Chikuin's eyes went wide. Boss, you're related to an ancient sect? Lin Yi smiled noncommittally and did not explain further. In Chikuin's heart, he felt more and more happy with his decision. He could already see the moment when he would become the head of the hidden house. Zhao, that's right, boss. That old lunatic is gone. Shouldn't I run away? What if he comes back? Chikuin suddenly thought of something big. So what if he's back? You think we'll be able to run away? The senses of a sky class isn't something we can escape from. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. This trip to the Ice Palace had given Lin Yi quite a lot of knowledges. The entire Ice Spirit Mountain was under the control of Crystal Candy and Qing, and he was in the middle of a snowstorm. He wouldn't be able to get far, and it would be too easy for that man to catch up to them. Besides, Lin Yi wanted to know what the freak said. He was going to get something good. Although Lin Yi had no intention of taking the freak's treasure, he couldn't help but be curious. The old lunatic had been separated from his disciple, and Lin Yi didn't want to mess with him. With that thought, Lin Yi suddenly realized that he had become a lot kinder. When he first came to Songshan, Lin Yi wasn't someone who liked to care about other people's business. The life and death of others had nothing to do with Lin Yi. But now, perhaps he was infected by the people around him. Ah, it can't be. Chikuin naturally trusted Lin Yi's words. Hearing Lin Yi's words, his face turned bitter. Then what if he comes back and goes crazy again? Don't worry, as long as we don't provoke him, it shouldn't happen, Lin Yi said. While the two of them were talking, the sound of footsteps came from outside the cave again. It was obvious that the strange man had returned. Chikuin patted his chest, thankful that he didn't leave. If he had left earlier, the man would really have been able to catch up to him. He's back, he's back. The man rushed into the cave excitedly and couldn't contain his joy when he saw Lin Yi. He walked over quickly and handed a paper bag to Lin Yi. Good disciple, I've kept this map for so many years, not letting your bad master's people get it. Haha, it's impossible for them to get that treasure. Lin Yi looked at the package the weirdo was handing him. He didn't know if he should accept it or not. From the strange man's words, the thing inside the oiled paper bag should be a treasure map, and the item inside should be a precious treasure. Perhaps it was this precious treasure that brought about the destruction of the strange man and his disciple's family. But how could Lin Yi just take it for himself? If the man was a bad person, then so be it, but he was a pitiful person. Lin Yi really didn't want his thing. He'd regret it when he woke up. Lin Yi didn't reach out to take it. Take it? Good disciple, what are you doing? The man saw that Lin Yi didn't reach out to take it. He was confused. All right. Lin Yi didn't have a choice. He could only reach out and take it. Open it and see if it's damaged. The man said, Originally, I remembered the things drawn on the map, but over the years, my memory is getting worse and worse. I can't remember some of it. I'm old. I can only get it. Okay. Lin Yi listened to the man's incoherent words and could only open the paper bag. God knew if he didn't do as the man asked, the man would go crazy again. Lin Yi opened the paper bag and saw that there was a treasure map inside, but it was only half of the map. Where's your half of the map? Take it out and put it together. The man said, After you put it together, I will take you to treasure hunt. I don't have that half with me. Lin Yi said with a bitter smile. You didn't bring it? That's right. How can you carry such an important thing with you at all times? If the bad guys in the sect find it and snatch it, it will be bad. At this point, the eccentric man sighed. Sigh, this treasure was hidden by Master back then, and the map was also divided into two after I drew it. But Master's memory. I don't even remember what I drew on this half. Master, this map, I'll leave it with you first. Wait until I get my half. Lin Yi said as he prepared to return the map to the man. I'll leave it with you. Otherwise, I'll forget where I put it again. The man waved his hand and said, It's getting late. Let's rest first. Tomorrow you go get your half of the map, and we'll go treasure hunt together. Right? It's been so many years. Let me see how your cultivation progresses. Chapter 1560. Chapter 1559. Not coming back with that, the weirdo placed his hand on Lin Yi's meridians. Activate the practitioner's arts. Let me see. All right. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and activated his practitioner's arts, releasing his strength. Mystic late phase? Didn't you become an earth class long ago? How come you're only mystic late phase? The weirdo frowned. Lin Yi jumped in shock. As expected, he found out. Lin Yi bit the bullet. Yes, you must have been injured back then. And after all these years, you didn't have any treasures to help you. So your strength hasn't recovered, right? The weirdo didn't wait for Lin Yi to explain, giving Lin Yi a good excuse. Ugh, yes. Lin Yi paused, nodding. It's okay, we can start again. The strange man said, All these years, I've already stolen the enemy's mantra. When the time comes, I'll pass it to you. We know ourselves and our enemies, and we'll emerge victorious in every battle. When you've mastered it, I'll bring you back to take revenge. All right. Lin Yi didn't know what the weirdo was talking about. Rest, I'm sleepy. With that, the weirdo fell asleep in the cave, not bothering with Lin Yi anymore. Lin Yi looked at the map in his hand, smiling bitterly. He wanted to find a chance to return it to the weirdo. Boss, Chikuin didn't even dare breathe, afraid that the weirdo would go crazy again. He waited until the weirdo fell asleep before pointing at him, whispering to Lin Yi, Should we run now? Is he asleep? Lin Yi shook his head. It looked like the weirdo was asleep, but the senses of a sky class were undeniable. Who knew if he'd wake up or not? If he woke up and thought that Lin Yi was pretending to be his disciple to get the map, then it'd be hard to explain, and he might even kill Lin Yi and Chikuin. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Lin Yi had no choice. He had to find an excuse to break up with the weirdo. With the weirdo's strength, it'd be easy for him to catch up. Chikuin nodded, a little depressed, and went to sleep. Lin Yi, on the other hand, sat cross-legged in the cave and started practicing. In the middle of the night, the weirdo suddenly jumped up, yelling, Run, Li-er, run! They're here, they're coming. Lin Yi opened his eyes in surprise. Just as he was about to speak, he saw the strange man suddenly rush out of the cave and disappear into the night. When Lin Yi got up and chased after him, there was no trace of the strange man. Sigh. Lin Yi sighed, shaking his head helplessly as he turned back to look at the package on the ground. The man was clearly mentally unstable, and he didn't know what kind of weird dream he'd had when he was sleeping. Perhaps he'd dreamt that his enemy had come knocking on his door, and he'd run away in a hurry. As for chasing after him, Lin Yi knew that he wasn't a match for a sky class. He wouldn't be able to catch up. Lin Yi could only go back into the cave and wait for the weirdo to come back. Boss, what's wrong? That crazy old man. Chikuin was woken up by the situation as well, opening his eyes and looking at Lin Yi a little confused. He ran away. Maybe he'll come back later, you sleep. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Oh. Chikuin nodded. If Lin Yi said it was fine, then it was fine. He went back to sleep. When Chikuin woke up, the sky was already bright. Lin Yi waited for the weirdo to come back. But even after Chikuin woke up, the weirdo still hadn't come back. It had been 3 to 4 hours since the weirdo had left. You're awake? Lin Yi asked. Yeah. Boss, where's that crazy old man? Chikuin opened his eyes, but the weirdo wasn't there. Other than Lin Yi, there was only the pig in the corner. He didn't come back. Lin Yi shook his head. Who knows if he'll come back? It's better if he doesn't. That scared me to death. Chikuin patted his chest. Sky class, that's really scary. Ah. Lin, he was a little helpless. Lin, he didn't want the weirdo's map, but the weirdo hadn't come back after he left. Lin, he was afraid of losing the map, so he kept it with him for now. Eat something. If the weirdo doesn't come back, we'll be on our way. Chikuin nodded and took out some compressed food from his bag, giving some to Lin-Yi. He took a biscuit and a sausage for himself. The two finished their meal and rested for a while. It was only noon, and the snow outside the cave was much lighter. It hadn't stopped yet, but they could see the road clearly. Lin, he couldn't wait for the weirdo to come back, so he got in the car with Chikuin and left the cave. At the same time, in Songshan, something big happened. Today, when the suspect was robbing a few middle school students, he was seen by a nearby Good Samaritan. He went forward and pulled off the suspect's mask. This scene was captured by a nearby university student with a mobile phone and uploaded to the internet. Thus, the true face of the criminal suspect was finally revealed to the public. Although the criminal suspect had injured the brave young man in a fit of rage, it was the first time his face had been revealed to the police. Ling Shan looked at the recording, a little depressed. She couldn't believe her eyes, but she recognized the person in the recording. It was Lin-Yi, no doubt about it. But how was that possible? Was it really Lin-Yi? Looking at the video at the cruel and inhumane suspect, Ling Shan felt as if her heart was being stabbed. No, it couldn't be. The Lin-Yi she knew wasn't someone like that. Captain Song, you can't judge a person's heart from his face. Don't worry too much. Wang Li smiled bitterly. At this point, no one would believe that the suspect wasn't Lin-Yi. It's not him. It can't be him. Ling Shan shook her head. Wang Li, look at the suspect's eyes. They're blank and lifeless, not the eyes of a normal person. Maybe it's the criminal's numbness. Wang Li believed that the suspect was Lin-Yi. All the evidence, including this video, could strongly prove this point. The stockpile has been used up. 3 chapters will be restored. The Murlocs will continue to stockpile and strive to erupt at the beginning of next month. Chapter 1561. A misunderstanding? Of course not. Ling Shan shook her head stubbornly. Lu Wangli sighed. He knew that there was something between Ling Shan and Lin-Yi, but Lin-Yi had suddenly turned into an unforgivable suspect. Naturally, Ling Shan wouldn't be able to accept it right away. She was about to say a few more words when the phone on her desk rang. Ling Shan picked it up listlessly. It was Huaijuan, informing her that the task force was having an emergency meeting. Evidently, Huaijuan had seen the video as well. Did he believe that it wasn't Lin-Yi who did it? Ling Shan stood up and walked to the meeting room with Lu Wangli. Huaijuan, on the other hand, had arrived a long time ago. His face wasn't looking too good, either. It was a little serious, a little nervous, and a little worried. I'm sure everyone's seen the latest video evidence? Huaijuan said after everyone was present. Yeah, Director Yang. I told you that the suspect was Lin-Yi, but Captain Song didn't believe me. Wang Hecken was the first to speak. What do you think now? This suspect is Lin-Yi, right? What kind of criminal can escape the eyes of the great Detective Wang? Didn't you say it before? Maybe Lin-Yi found someone who looked like him to impersonate him? If Lin-Yi could find someone who looked like him, why couldn't other people? Ling Shan was getting more and more annoyed with this Wang Hecken. Why was this guy always going against Lin-Yi? I did, but wasn't that when he was masked? Now that the mask's off, it's no longer a matter of resemblance. He looks exactly like Lin-Yi. You think it's a substitute? Wang Hecken curled his lips and said, Bureau Chief Yang, as you can see, your Captain Song seems to have a good relationship with the suspect. With her current situation, she is no longer suitable to work in the task force. I suggest that she be transferred out of the task force and avoid this case. Otherwise, it is hard for me not to think that she will be biased. Huaijuan couldn't help but smile bitterly after hearing Wang Hejin's words. Detective Wang, I know Lin Yi as a person. Logically speaking, he's not like this, but we still need evidence. Since there's enough evidence, we can basically confirm that the suspect is Lin Yi. That's more like it. Wang Heckin nodded. However, Captain Song shouldn't participate in the capture mission. I don't think her position is firm. Oh. Ling Shan was speechless. Would it kill you to speak less? Captain Song, your emotions right now are indeed not suitable to work in the task force. Go back to the office first. I'll arrange something else for you after the meeting. Huaijuan said. Bureau Chief Yang. Ling Shan blinked. She didn't think that even Huaijuan would believe that Lin Yi was guilty and kick her out of the task force. Ling Shan's eyes went wide, unable to accept this. Wasn't Lin Yi his comrade? The two of them had been through life and death together. How did Huaijuan become like this? Did he no longer believe in Lin Yi? Say no more. I've made my decision. You just need to follow orders. Huaijuan said in a serious tone that left no room for negotiation. Yes. Ling Shan didn't have a choice. She nodded and walked out of the meeting room, dejectedly. Wang Heckin, on the other hand, had a cold smile on his face. Fighting with me? You're still too inexperienced. Just a few words, and I kicked you out of the task force. Now that Ling Shan was out of the way, Lin Yi was the suspect. Huaijuan, Lu Wangli, and the others discussed the new plan. Huaijuan himself was the leader of the task force, with Lu Wangli as the vice leader. He made some plans and instructions for the future. After the meeting, Huaijuan quickly walked to Ling Shan's office. Ling Shan was sitting in her office, depressed. She didn't understand Huaijuan's actions at all, and she didn't believe that Lin Yi was the suspect at all. It was a trust that came from the bottom of her heart. She didn't think that Lin Yi was someone like that. Dang, dang, dang. There was a knock on the door, and Ling Shan stopped her thoughts and adjusted herself. Come in. Huaijuan pushed the door open and walked into Ling Shan's office, closing the door behind him and locking it from the inside. Bureau Chief Yang. Ling Shan said, feeling wronged. She couldn't believe what had happened today. Go to your lounge. Huaijuan said, pointing at the lounge behind Ling Shan's office. Ah. Ling Shan paused, remembering Huaijuan's action of locking the door from the inside. She subconsciously raised her vigilance. Was he going to do something to her? She thought about how Huaijuan kicked her out of the task force and made Lin Yi the suspect. Ling Shan was worried. Was Huaijuan trying to harm Lin Yi? Bureau Chief Yang. Ling Shan didn't follow Huaijuan into the lounge. She started channeling her practitioner's arts, releasing her strength as a mystic early phase. Huaijuan was shocked. You're a mystic now. Huaijuan couldn't be blamed for being shocked. Ling Shan was only a golden class the last time he saw her, and now she was a mystic in the blink of an eye. Did Ling Shan have some sort of miracle in this period of time? Ling Shan didn't say anything, still looking at Huaijuan cautiously. Ling Shan, did you misunderstand something? Huaijuan said after seeing Ling Shan's reaction. He remembered what he did earlier and understood what she was worried about. He smiled bitterly and lowered his voice. I said we're going to the lounge because I'm afraid the walls have ears, and I have something important to tell you. Plus, you're a mystic. Why would you be afraid of someone who hasn't even recovered to golden class? Ah? Oh. Ling Shan blushed, realizing that she'd misunderstood. She quickly opened the door and walked in with Huaijuan. Ling Shan, you know how much pressure I'm under right now. All the evidence points to Lin Yi, and I can't just say that Lin Yi isn't a suspect. Huaijuan said with a serious face after they reached the resting room. You and I both know that Lin Yi isn't that kind of person, but we need evidence when we work cases, and all the evidence points to Lin Yi. We can't be 100% sure that Lin Yi did this, but if you and I try our best to help Lin Yi get out of this, Then we'll both be kicked out of the task force, and Lin, you will be in even more danger. Chapter 1562. Chapter 1561, College Entrance Examination. I'm sorry, young bro, I misunderstood you, Lingshan said, a little embarrassed. Then what do we do now? On the surface, our task force is still targeting Lin E as a suspect. There's nothing we can do about that. But in private, I'll give you a secret mission. Go investigate in the dark and find out the truth. To the public, I'll tell them that I'm giving you a break and hope that you can uncover the truth. Call me if you need anything, and I'll try my best to cooperate with you, Huaijuan said. Yes, thank you, young bro. Lingshan was pleasantly surprised by Huaijuan's words. She nodded quickly. Don't worry, I'll complete the mission and uncover the truth. I'll clear Lin Yi's name. And, right, it's been a while since we last met. You seem to be interested in Lin Yi? Huaijuan cracked a joke after they got down to business. You two used to be lovers, weren't you? Young bro, you're joking with me again, Lingshan said as she tidied up her hair, embarrassed. What, embarrassed? Huaijuan said with a smile. No, it's just that I've been pursuing him, but I haven't succeeded yet. Lingshan decided to tell the truth. Plus, he was the one who helped me increase my strength. Him? Helped you level up? Huaijuan paused. He was from a noble house as well, so he was very familiar with Lingshan's practitioner's arts. The Song House's arts focused on dual practicing, but Lingshan said that she hadn't succeeded. Did that mean that the two hadn't dual practiced? If that was the case, then how did they level up? All of a sudden, Huaijuan remembered a phone call from Lin Yi, saying that he'd found a way for him to recover his strength. Could it be that Lin Yi was using the same method on Lingshan? Yeah, it's funny now that I think about it, but he raised me and Yu Tian to mystic early phase. Lingshan smiled bitterly. Young bro, do you think someone as strong as Lin Yi would still do those cases? Yu Tian too. Huaijuan sucked in a cold breath. He didn't expect Yu Tian to level up as well. Didn't that mean that he was the only one around Lin Yi who wasn't even a golden class? Yeah. Lingshan nodded. That's why, young bro, you know that Lin Yi has this kind of power. Even if he went to a random hidden house, he'd still be a worshipper, no matter how much money he wants. Robbing a bank? Moreover, flirting with young girls was even more unimaginable. Not to mention that the beauties in his house were all waiting in line. Even I was waiting here. If he didn't come to flirt with us, then he went to flirt with others? What's with him? Huh. Huaijuan laughed, amused by Lingshan's words. Lingshan, I've always believed that these cases weren't done by Lin Yi. I've seen the videotape, and while the person in there is Lin Yi, he doesn't give me that feeling of closeness. It's a sense of familiarity. On the surface, it looks like Lin Yi, but if you look closely, it doesn't feel like it's him. Yeah, since you're supporting me, young bro, I have more confidence. I'll get to the bottom of this. Lingshan clenched her fist. The videotape was uploaded on the internet. Naturally, other citizens saw it as well, including Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yin. The three sat in front of the computer, watching the video over and over again. This isn't Lin. Tang Yin said with certainty, shaking her head. I don't know why, but I trust my feelings. If I had to give a reason, it would be that I don't feel anything for this person in the picture. Yeah, isn't that Shield Bro? Yushu nodded. I have seen Shield Bro naked before, and I know him the best. This person definitely isn't him. I don't think so. Meng Yao shook her head as well, troubled. The problem is that the police don't believe us, and we can't find any convincing evidence. This person doesn't look like a spiritual practitioner at all. He's not weak, but he's more like a physical practitioner. Xintian was a practitioner of both spiritual and physical strength. He could tell that something was wrong with one look. Oh, Lin Yi is a spiritual practitioner, so can this be used as evidence? Meng Yao's eyes lit up. I don't think so. It's just a feeling, I can't prove it. Qin Tian shook his head. But we can basically confirm that this person isn't Lin Yi Boss, so we don't have to worry too much. Lin Yi Boss should be able to take care of it when he comes back. That's the only way. Meng Yao nodded. It'd be great if this person wasn't Lin Yi. Even if he looked similar to Lin Yi, the truth would be revealed when Lin Yi came back. The days passed, and the suspect continued to commit crimes. But because of his strength, the police couldn't catch him on the spot. The more the matter got out of hand, the more pressure Huaijuan felt. At the same time, Ling Shan was on vacation in name, but she was secretly moving around the business districts of Songshan, hoping to find the fake Lin Yi. But after many days of hard work, she still couldn't figure out the fake Lin Yi's pattern. This person didn't have any order to his actions, appearing here one day and there the next. There was no order to it at all, and this made it even harder for Ling Shan to find him. After that, Ling Shan decided to stop looking for the fake Lin Yi. Instead, she camped around a certain area, and no matter where the fake Lin Yi appeared, she wouldn't change her location. She'd be waiting for him there. One had to say this was the best method she could come up with. In the blink of an eye, it was the day of the exam. As their bodyguard, Qin Tian had to personally escort them to the exam venue. Since today was the day of the exam, there were a lot of cars on the streets. The three didn't let Faubert drive them, and instead had Qin Tian drive Meng Yao's Audi S5 to the exam venue. Meng Yao did say that she could drive herself, but Qin Tian didn't agree at all. Chapter 1563. What a coincidence! He'd patted his chest in front of Lin Yi and promised that he'd protect Meng Yao and the others. Naturally, he'd do his best. In order not to be late, Qin Tian used a printer to print 2 stickers on the car, saying, "There are candidates in the car. Please take care of us." Both Meng Yao and Tang Yin were surprised that Qin Tian could be so attentive. This follower of Lin Yi wasn't as dumb as he looked. In fact, Qin Tian wasn't really dumb. He was just a little arrogant, and it wasn't anything wrong with him. This was something all noble house disciples had, especially someone like Qin Tian, who had some strength at such a young age. But now that he saw how strong Lin Yi and Gooden were, he understood that there would always be someone better than him, and he held back a lot. The car drove on the main road of Songshan at a steady speed. Qin Tian's driving skills were quite good, and the car weaved in and out of the traffic. "It's still early, no need to rush," Meng Yao said to Qin Tian. "It's better to rush. Who knows if there'll be a traffic jam later?" Qin Tian's mission today was to escort the 3 girls to the exam venue, so he didn't dare slack off. "Yeah, I feel like something's going to happen. It's better to get to school earlier," Yushu nodded. As soon as Yushu finished speaking, Qin Tian slammed on the brakes, stopping the car in the middle of the road. In front of Qin Tian's car, a person appeared, blocking the way. Qin Tian didn't want to hit him, so he stopped the car. "You Crow Shu, what are you talking about? We almost got into trouble." Meng Yao complained, a little troubled. But as soon as she complained, she realized that something wasn't right, because the person in front of the car had his face covered. Holy shit, this person. Is he pretending to be Shield Bro? Yushu's eyes went wide as she stared at the person in front of the car. "I think so." Tang Yin was surprised to see the person's physique. She didn't think that they would meet here. Qin Tian frowned. If this really was a fake Lin Yi, then he definitely didn't have good intentions. As expected, the next moment, the masked man walked over quickly and tore off the Audi S5. He then reached out and grabbed at Qin Tian with his hand. Qin Tian was shocked. He didn't expect this person to be so strong. He knew that his iron fist technique was already very powerful, but this person was not weak either. He could actually tear the door of the car with one hand. "Be careful, call the police. I'll deal with it." Qin Tian jumped off the car, preparing to deal with the intruders. All right. Meng Yao nodded and took out her phone, dialing Lingshan's number without hesitation. She had wanted to call the police directly, but then she remembered that she'd have to go through the call center, and she'd have to explain a lot. She might as well just call Lingshan, the person in charge of the case, and she wouldn't have to explain too much. Qingtian got off the car and yelled at the masked man, "Who are you? Tell me your name. You don't look like you're from the Wulian world, wearing a mask." But the masked man didn't seem to hear Qingtian's words. He ignored him and walked to the back door of the Audi S5, reaching out and pulling the door down. Qingtian jumped in fright and raised his hand to hit the back of the masked man's heart, but the masked man didn't seem to feel it at all. He didn't even flinch as he continued to destroy the car door. Qingtian, on the other hand, slapped the masked man's back with a loud bang. But the masked man's body only shook a little after Qingtian's attack, as if he didn't suffer any actual damage. He snapped back to reality and sent a slap towards Qingtian. Qingtian was closer to the masked man, and when the palm came back, he couldn't dodge it anymore. He could only raise his hand to meet it, and the two palms collided with a dull thud. Qingtian wasn't injured, but he was shocked. The masked man's hands weren't any weaker than him. The inheritor of Iron Fist. Both of them weren't injured, but they were evenly matched. This person was at least a mystic early-phase physical practitioner. Qingtian was shocked, but at the same time he was even more careful. He was a mystic early-phase practitioner, and it seemed like he was stronger than this masked man, but his physical strength had just increased not too long ago, and it wasn't very solid yet. He didn't have much of an advantage against this masked man. But what confused Qingtian was that the masked man didn't care about him anymore after that slap. He turned around and grabbed at Yushu in the car. Ah! Yushu froze, and her arm was grabbed by the masked man, pulling her out of the car. Yushu subconsciously reached out and pulled the mask off the masked man's face. The new command in Lin Yi's head didn't say anything about pulling off the mask, and this was Jiang Wen's intention. He wanted the masked man to take off the mask so he could slander Lin Yi. Shield bro. Yushu paused when she saw the masked man's face. She stared at the masked man in shock. It was too similar. Too similar. Yushu was sure that the masked man wasn't Lin Yi, but when she saw his face, she couldn't help but call him Shield bro. Is that you? It's not you, right? You wouldn't hurt Shu, would you? 01, on the other hand, didn't respond to Yushu at all. The order he received today was to stop a student's car on the street, and if the person in the car was a boy, he was to break his arms so that he couldn't take the exam. If it was a girl, then he was to tear her clothes and tease her on the street. Evidently, Yushu was a girl, and so 01 automatically followed the second command. As for what Yushu was saying, he didn't understand. Scorpion, who was observing from afar, saw Yushu get out of the car. Shit. He'd found out who Yushu was. This girl was one of Lin Yi's people, but he didn't expect 01 to be this lucky. He just flagged down a random car and managed to stop all of them. But Scorpion couldn't stop him anymore. 01's command was premeditated, and other than the hypnotist, no one else would be able to do it. Chapter 1564. But seeing that it was Yushu, Scorpion let out a sigh of relief. Wouldn't Master Wen regret it if he messed around with Meng Yao? But now, while it was a little unreasonable, it wasn't a big mistake. Website, let her go! Qingtian yelled as he swung his fist at 01, but the guy ignored him. He just wanted to tear off Yushu's clothes. Bam! Qingtian's fist landed on 01's head, and he let go of Yushu after taking a heavy hit. Enraged, he swung his fist at Qingtian. At this point, Qingtian could tell that 01 was a mystic early-phase physical practitioner, but he didn't know any moves at all. His attacks were messy, and this gave Qingtian a chance to catch his breath. Otherwise, if two people of equal strength were to fight to the death, both of them would be heavily injured. But because 01 seemed to be a little dumb, Qingtian was able to barely dodge his attacks. Tian didn't have the intention to kill the guy after understanding his strength. He wasn't Lin Yi and didn't have the ability to fight someone stronger than him. He wouldn't be able to kill someone of the same level as him that easily. And so Tian decided that he might as well use his life to stall for time. He'd wait for the police to come, and then work with them to take down 01. This person looked very much like Lin Yi, but Tian could tell that this wasn't the real Lin Yi the moment they fought. If Lin Yi was the one fighting him, Tian would have died a long time ago. There was no way he could have lasted until now. Ling Shan was waiting not too far away, and after receiving Mingyao's call, she got on a police motorbike and rushed over to the scene at top speed. She didn't drive because there were too many cars in the city, and driving wasn't as convenient as a motorcycle. Website. Ling Shan ran a couple of red lights before arriving at the scene, only to see Tian fighting Lin Yi. Without a word, she jumped out of the car and charged at the fake Lin Yi. Raise your hands, don't act rashly or I'll shoot. Facing this fake Lin Yi, Ling Shan had a belly full of anger. Not only had she been kicked out of the task force, but she'd also ruined Lin Yi's reputation as well. So, Ling Shan raised her gun as soon as she arrived. But Ling Yi didn't even look at Ling Shan as he swung his hand at Tian. It didn't do much damage to him, but Tian couldn't handle it. He was afraid that he'd fall into a trap if he wasn't careful. Pum! Ling Shan fired a warning shot into the air. Stop right now or I'll shoot. Naturally, 01 didn't bother with Ling Shan, letting her threaten him. On the web, Ling Shan's warning shots were useless, so she pointed her gun at 01 and pulled the trigger. Pum! Ling Shan shot him in the leg, and he grunted in pain but didn't fall. Just as the bullet hit his leg, he snapped back to his senses, ignoring the gunshot wound on his leg. His eyes were bloodshot as he sprinted towards Ling Shan, his speed shocking. He snatched the gun from Ling Shan's hand and crushed it into scrap metal, throwing it on the ground with an unnatural red flush on his face. Scorpion, who wasn't far away, was about to report to Jiang Wen when he saw Ling Shan coming, but froze. It seemed that 01 had activated the enhancement program and bit the capsule in his mouth. This way, 01's strength would instantly reach Mystic Late Phase. It didn't matter if it was Ling Shan or Tian. There were nothing in his eyes. Mystic Early Phase and Mystic Late Phase Peak were two completely different concepts. The difference was too huge. Ling Shan didn't expect that 01's speed and strength would increase so abruptly. Even a Mystic Early Phase like her couldn't react in time, and her gun was snatched away. But what came next shocked her even more. After taking the gun, 01 didn't seem to have any intentions of letting Ling Shan go. Instead, he sent a palm towards Ling Shan, so fast that Ling Shan couldn't dodge it at all. In just a blink of an eye, Ling Shan was sent flying, landing heavily on the ground. Ling Shan spat out a mouthful of blood as she stared at the fake Lin Yi in disbelief. She was shocked beyond belief. A physical practitioner at Mystic Late Phase Peak. How could the enemy be this strong? Ling Shan regretted not asking for reinforcements before coming. She thought that she was a Mystic Early Phase and thought that she could take him down easily. But then again, a physical practitioner at Mystic Late Phase Peak. So what if she asked for reinforcements? This kind of strength wasn't something she could control anymore, and she needed the Supernatural Investigation Department to do something about it. After sending Ling Shan flying, 01 didn't go after her. Instead, he turned his attention back to Yushu, walking over, wanting to take off her clothes. Yao Yao, this guy's so scary. Yushu didn't have a good impression of Ling Shan, but seeing her get hurt trying to save them, she still felt sympathetic. What should we do? This guy's really strong. Even Tian might not be his match. Meng Yao frowned, but there was no way they could leave now. If only the real shield bro was here. Yushu sighed as she looked at the approaching 01 cautiously. Tian, of course, wouldn't let him get close to Yushu. He saw Ling Shan get sent flying, but Chen Tian still charged up and swung his fist at 01. This time he was aiming for his chest, aiming to deal a heavy blow to him. Seeing Chen Tian coming at him, he stopped what he was doing to Yushu and raised his hands to meet Chen Tian's attack. Chen Tian frowned at how fast 01 was reacting, but he gritted his teeth. He didn't care if 01 hit him or not. He just wanted to deal a heavy blow to him. This guy's strength had already exceeded Chen Tian's expectations. He didn't understand how he'd gone from mystic early phase to mystic late phase peak in an instant. But no matter what, Chen Tian had to stop him. Chapter 1565. His injuries were much more serious than Ling Shan's. Ling Shan had only been sent flying by 01 out of anger, but Chen Tian had been forced into a head-on. The two of them weren't on the same level. The website continuously updates pure TXT handwritten novels 24/7. Miss Song, save them. Chen Tian endured the pain and called out to Ling Shan. Even if Chen Tian didn't say anything, Ling Shan wouldn't just sit and watch. She spat out a mouthful of blood, but her injuries weren't that serious. She got up from the ground and charged at 01. Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yin were all very nervous, but they couldn't do anything to help. They could only watch the situation unfold. "Just who are you?" Ling Shan asked, wiping the blood from her mouth. 01 didn't even bother replying to her as he swung his fist at Ling Shan. Ling Shan panicked and quickly used her practitioner's arts to defend, barely dodging the attack. But Ling Yi didn't stop there. He kicked out with his right leg again, too fast for Ling Shan to react. Ling Yi's kick landed on her abdomen. Physical practitioners were known for their speed and strength, and even though Ling Shan was a mystic, she was still at a disadvantage against 01, who was a mystic late phase peak. "Ah!" Ling Shan cried out as she was sent flying once more, but this time it was a lot more serious. Evidently, he was pissed at Ling Shan's provocation again. This could be seen just from the distance and height that Ling Shan had been sent flying. Previously, she'd only been sent flying 10 meters, but this time, she'd been sent flying more than 30 meters, flying straight towards the cars that were trying to go around them. Today, Lin Yi had just returned to Songshan, and as soon as he got back, he went straight to the exam venue. He was just in time for the first exam. Ping Zhan had already promised Lin Yi that even if he didn't take the exam, he would still sponsor him to go to college. But Lin Yi still wanted to try it himself. The questions in high school were easier, and Lin Yi was quite good at it. The Miss and Tang Yin could take the exam with their own abilities. So why couldn't Lin Yi? But what Lin Yi didn't expect was that he would be stuck in a traffic jam on the way to the exam venue. This was the main road, and normally there wouldn't be a traffic jam here. Why was there a traffic jam today? Could it be that there was an accident ahead? Lin Yi followed the car in front of him and was about to take a detour when a silhouette suddenly flew over and smashed into the windshield of his car with a loud bang. Did he hit someone? Lin Yi paused. He wasn't driving at all. The car was parked on the road. How could he hit someone? Could it be a scammer? Lin Yi raised his head, subconsciously, and looked at the silhouette in front of the car. He jumped in fright when he saw that the windshield of the car was already covered in blood, and the windshield had been smashed into pieces by the person who had appeared out of nowhere. It looked like a spider's web. How much strength did that take? The windshield of the car was made of multiple layers of tempered glass. It would take a lot of strength to smash it, and Lin Yi wasn't even driving, so the force was from this person. If this was a scammer, unless the scammer had a screw loose, it was no different from suicide. Lin Yi frowned as he looked at the bloody figure. He felt a sense of familiarity. Could it be that he had seen this person before? Lin Yi quickly opened the door and helped the person up. When Lin Yi saw the person's face, he was shocked. It was Song Lingshan. That's right. The person who had hit Lin Yi's car was Song Lingshan. Lingshan, what's wrong? Lin Yi asked subconsciously. Weibo, ah. Ling Shan opened her eyes to see Lin Yi, shocked as well. She didn't think that 01 would be this fast. He'd just sent her flying, and he was already here. Was he trying to kill them all? What's wrong? Lin Yi looked at Ling Shan, confused. Ling Shan's eyes flashed with suspicion as she listened to the familiar voice. This Lin Yi in front of her was exactly the same as the Lin Yi from before, but the Lin Yi from before didn't say a word. This Lin Yi, was it the real Lin Yi? Are you for real? Ling Shan asked subconsciously. What do you mean? Lin Yi blinked, not knowing what Ling Shan was talking about. You're the Lin Yi who called me Miss Brain Dead? Ling Shan asked uncertainly. Little girl Song, are you stupid? What are you talking about? How did you get hurt? What's going on? Lin Yi didn't know what Ling Shan was talking about. He didn't know what was going on. Lin Yi, it's really you. It's really you. Thank goodness. Ling Shan finally confirmed that the person in front of her was the real Lin Yi after hearing Lin Yi's words. So where was the fake Lin Yi? With that thought, Ling Shan quickly said, Over there! There's a fake you over there. He hurt me. Yushu and the others are over there. Go help them. What? Lin Yi didn't know what Ling Shan was talking about, but Lin Yi understood that there was an enemy over there, and Shu and the others were in danger as well. Lin Yi didn't say anything. He picked up Ling Shan abruptly and sprinted in the direction Ling Shan told him to go. Yushu was in despair, not expecting this fake shield bro to be this strong, beating both Qintian and Ling Shan so easily. Yushu wanted to fight back, but how was she a match for Ling Yi? After sending Ling Shan flying, Ling Yi reached for Yushu once more, wanting to take off all her clothes. Don't. You look like Shield Bro, but you're not Shield Bro. Yushu crossed her arms in front of her chest as she looked at Ling Yi cautiously. Don't touch me, or Shield Bro won't let you get away with it. If he finds out that you're messing with his little wife, you're dead meat. Ling Yi didn't listen to what Yushu was saying. He kept getting closer to her. I'm telling you, my words are very accurate. People call me Prophet Shu, and you're dead meat if you take another step. Shield Bro won't let you get away with it, Yushu said. Chapter 1566. Mingyao's heart sank when she said that. She had a good relationship with Shu, and she would always be the first to rush to the front whenever Shu was in danger. But this time was different. This 01 was obviously trying to break Yushu's chastity, and if Mingyao were to take her place, the result would be obvious. However, Tang Yin was Lin Yi's girlfriend, and Shu wanted to marry Lin Yi as well. So chastity was more important to them. She was the only one who had nothing to do with Lin Yi, and she didn't have a boyfriend either. It was better for her to deal with it herself. At most, she wouldn't get married and live with Shu anymore. Yao Yao, what are you doing? Yushu jumped at Mingyao's actions. He's coming for me. You and Tang Yin, sis, run, or we won't be able to get away. It's fine, I'll take your place. Mingyao said faintly. It's fine, we'll just see it as Lin Yi and me. I don't plan on marrying anyone in the future anyway, as long as you guys don't mind me. That's fine, Mingyao said faintly. Yao Yao, what are you talking about? Yushu jumped at Mingyao's calmness. Don't mess things up, I'll scare him again. Tang Yin, who was standing on the side, was touched by Mingyao and Yushu's sisterly love. 01 paused when he saw Mingyao getting out of the car and standing in front of Yushu. He paused for a moment, but the program in his head told him to grab a random girl to flirt with. And it didn't matter if it was Yushu or Mingyao, they'd have to fulfill the hypnosis instructions in his head. And so he grabbed Mingyao and pulled her over. Stop. I'm telling you, I'm going to make a prophecy. Shield Bro will be here soon, and if you take another step, you'll have to face Shield Bro's punishment. Yushu yelled at the top of her lungs. The website continuously updates pure TXT handwritten novels 24/7. Mingyao and Tang Yin didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Yushu's words. Meng Yao was just about to tell Shu to stop and run away when her eyes widened in disbelief. Behind 01, there was another person who looked exactly the same as him, but that person was carrying Lingshan, and his eyes were filled with a sense of familiarity. Could it really be Lin Yi? Meng Yao wondered if her eyes were playing tricks on her. Was she seeing double? He quickly rubbed his eyes, but what he saw were still two Lin Yis. Yushu and Tang Yin, on the other hand, had the same reaction as Meng Yao, rubbing their eyes in disbelief. Lin Yi was shocked as well. He was seeing someone who looked exactly like him. But this person had to be the enemy Lingshan was talking about. Lin Yi didn't care where he came from. He just needed to defeat him. Lin Yi put Lingshan down and patted 01's shoulder. 01 turned around naturally when he sensed someone behind him. However, when he saw Lin Yi behind him, he wasn't surprised at all. It was as if he didn't think there was anything wrong with this person looking exactly like him. Instead, he swung his arm, wanting to throw Lin Yi away. Slap! 01's right hand was caught firmly in Lin Yi's hand. Ah! It's Shield Bro, he's back! Yushu was finally certain that the person behind 01 was her Shield Bro, the real Lin Yi. It really is Lin Yi. Meng Yao said, pleasantly surprised. This was the kind of joy that came from escaping from a hopeless situation. Just a moment ago, she was already disheartened, but now her hope was reignited. She was glad that she didn't have to lose her innocence so easily today. Meng Yao had already made up her mind, but that was because she had no other choice. Now she was overjoyed. Tang Yin was pleasantly surprised as well. Lin Yi was really back. Let's see if this fake Lin Yi can still be cocky now. She had already poured a lot of dirty water on Lin Yi, and now the truth was out. Prophet Shu is amazing. She made another prophecy. Yushu clapped her hands excitedly. Shield Bro, don't let him go. Shu's innocence that should have belonged to you was almost taken away by him. Meng Yao and Tang Yin sweated after hearing Yushu's words. How could she say something like that in public? This Shu wasn't a normal person after all. However, Tang Yin didn't dislike Shu's words at all. First, it was because she had gotten familiar with Shu these days, and Tang Yin had accepted her existence from the bottom of her heart. Second, Tang Yin really had to thank Prophet Shu. If it wasn't for her prophecy, one of them would have lost his innocence today. Although Lin Yi knew that Yushu's words were a bit exaggerated, but looking at the scene in front of him, it wasn't far off. To be honest, Lin Yi was shocked by this fake Lin Yi. If it wasn't for the fact that Lin Yi knew that he had no brothers and was an orphan, Lin Yi would really think that this person was his twin brother. Of course, this didn't exclude the possibility that Lin Yi had a twin brother before he became an orphan. But this wasn't important. No matter who he was, Lin Yi wouldn't let him go so easily. Just based on the fact that this person injured Lingshan and Qintian, Lin Yi wouldn't let him go so easily. In a business car not far away, Scorpion wiped the sweat off his face and called Jiang Wen anxiously. Master Wen, bad news. Scorpion said as soon as Jiang Wen picked up the call. What's wrong? Why are you panicking? Jiang Wen asked. Master Wen, Lin Yi suddenly came back and fought with 01. Scorpion said, what should we do? What, Lin Yi's back? Jiang Wen paused. Why is he back now? And why did he meet Lin Yi so coincidentally? It's quite a coincidence, Master Wen, this is what happened. Scorpion quickly told Jiang Wen about how 01 stole Meng Yao's car and fought with Lingshan and Qintian. No way. What a coincidence. He bumped into Meng Yao. Is Meng Yao all right? Jiang Wen was shocked, but he didn't have time to ask about 01. His attention was on Meng Yao. If something were to happen to Meng Yao, Jiang Wen would be filled with disgust and regret. Chapter 1567. Chapter 1566. A sad moment as long as Meng Yao is fine. I'm the only one who can touch the woman I like. Jiang Wen breathed out in relief. The website continuously updates pure TXT handwritten novels 24/7. Then what about 01? Scorpion asked. Don't worry about it. Let him fend for himself. Don't wait there. Don't get him into trouble with 01. Come back now. Jiang Wen said to Scorpion. 01's value is pretty much expense. There's no use for him anymore. Let the police take him. Yes, Scorpion replied. It was true. The only use of the fake Lin Yi was to frame Lin Yi. But now that the real Lin Yi was here with him, there was no way to frame him anymore. Giving up on him and letting him take all the blame was the best choice. In any case, 01 was just a test subject. If Professor Yin wanted to create another one, he could easily create another one. His death was not to be regretted. After hanging up, Jiang Wen muttered to himself, I didn't think that Lin Yi would come back at this time. Was he on a long trip? What a coincidence to come back. Let's hope 01 can deal a heavy blow to Lin Yi. Jiang Wen wasn't dumb enough to think that 01 could take out Lin Yi. Although 01 could reach mystic late phase peak after taking the capsule, that would only last for 5 minutes. Lin Yi was mystic mid-phase peak, and even if 01 could suppress Lin Yi, there was only a difference of 1 level between a mystic mid-phase peak and a mystic late phase peak physical master. Not 2 levels. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was someone who could fight enemies above his level. Jiang Wen didn't think 01 could take out Lin Yi at all. If 01 could deal a heavy blow to Lin Yi within these 5 minutes, then he'd have completed his mission perfectly. The website continuously updates pure TXT handwritten novels 24/7. Scorpion secretly started the car and disappeared into the crowd of cars. On the other side, Lin Yi and 01 were in a stalemate. Zero's right hand was in Lin Yi's hand. He couldn't move at all. 01's eyes flashed with anger. His right hand could not move, so he swung his left hand at Lin Yi. Boss Lin Yi, be careful. At this time, Qintian had woken up. He was very weak, but seeing Lin Yi's return made him relax. His injuries didn't seem as bad as before, but Qintian knew how strong 01 was. Even with his mystic early phase Iron Fist arts, he wasn't a match for 01. One had to know that the Iron Fist technique was a rather domineering mental cultivation technique. When practiced to the extreme, it could even break the Golden Bell shield. This 01's Kung Fu was on par with Iron Fist arts, and so Qintian was worried that Lin Yi would be at a disadvantage. Even without Qintian's reminder, Lin Yi could tell that there was something wrong with 01. This person was incredibly strong. He could tell from the way he grabbed his right hand. If it weren't for the fact that Lin Yi had gone through strict training as an assassin, he wouldn't have been able to hold this guy off. According to Lin Yi's senses, 01 already had the strength of a mystic late phase peak. What kind of level was that? No wonder Qintian and Ling Shan weren't a match for him. If Lin Yi hadn't broken through to mystic late phase with Naipeo's help before the test, he would have had a hard time dealing with this guy. Even if he won, he'd suffer serious internal injuries. And so, Lin Yi became even more careful after Qintian's reminder. The moment 01 waved his left hand, Lin Yi moved as well. Lin Yi waved his right hand as well, but Lin Yi didn't meet the attack head-on. Instead, he condensed a small energy bomb in his right palm. The bomb would only send 01 flying and cripple his left hand, but it wouldn't do much damage to his body. But that was enough. Lin Yi could tell that 01 was an expert in martial arts, so he'd first destroy his left hand and make him lose some strength. As for the damage that the energy bomb would do to Lin Yi's right hand, it was negligible. Lin Yi could use his qi to heal himself in the blink of an eye. After all, the area of damage was too small. Now, after this test, Lin Yi was getting more and more familiar with forming energy bombs. It could be said that he had full control over it, and he could control the result he wanted. Of course, Lin Yi could also use a super large energy bomb to cripple 01, but Lin Yi didn't do that. This was because he didn't have enough time. Lin Yi didn't have the time to form a big energy bomb, and also because Lin Yi was going to the exams later. He couldn't afford to get hurt. The energy bomb could hurt enemies, but it could also hurt himself. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Lin Yi wouldn't use it. With a loud bang, it looked like the two palms collided, but it wasn't. 01's palm hit the energy bomb, but didn't touch Lin Yi's palm. The next moment, Lin Yi loosened his grip on 01's right hand, and he was sent flying by Lin Yi. 01 had the physical strength of a mystic late-phase peak, but it was forcefully leveled up. His technique wasn't very mature, and it wasn't the same as his own strength, especially since 01 didn't have a mind of his own, and he didn't know how to react to the situation. He was just subconsciously attacking randomly, and so it was normal for him to be sent flying. Lingshan and Qintian were both pleasantly surprised. Lin Yi really was strong. Before, it was always 01 who sent them flying. But now that Lin Yi came back, he sent him flying with a seemingly easy palm. On the other side, Yushu, Mengyao, and Tang Yin were all very excited. Lin Yi was back, and he was showing off his power. Shield bro, go. Shield bro is the best. Shu loves you the most. Yushu put her hands on her mouth, as if she was trying to amplify her voice to Lin Yi. This feeling is so calming, as if he's back and all the troubles aren't troubles anymore. Tang Yin said with a sigh, "Yeah, ever since that time in the bank when I was saved by Lin Yi, I've been thinking that he's pretty strong." Mengyao finally said the truth. Chapter 1568. Lin Yi, the real or fake she, and Lin Yi were still young, and it was too early to talk about marriage. Who knew what would happen in the next few years? Plus, since Tang Yin had accepted Xiao Xiao, it was hard to say what would happen in the future. Tang Yin had promised Tianlong to let Xiao Xiao and Lin Yi be together, but at the time, she thought that Xiao Xiao didn't have long to live. Even if she ended up with Lin Yi, she'd just have to suffer for a while. She had a long life ahead of her, but after spending more time with Xiao Xiao, Tang Yin had accepted the girl from the bottom of her heart. She didn't want her to leave, so when Lin Yi wanted to bring Xiao Xiao to the doctor, Tang Yin had been very supportive. Since things had gotten to this point, Tang Yin might as well be a bit more generous and let Mengyao and Yushu go. She'd let Lin Yi make the decisions anyways. Thinking too much would only annoy her. She might as well let nature take its course. Chapter 1567. 01 fell to the ground with a thud. He got up quickly, but his left hand was a mess of flesh and blood. The white bone could be seen clearly. Evidently his hand was broken. But what surprised Lin Yi was that 01 didn't scream or say anything after the injury. His eyes were just a little red and he looked a little angry. But it didn't seem like he was in any pain at all. 01 got up and charged at Lin Yi once more, but this time he swung his right hand at Lin Yi. A mocking smile appeared on Lin Yi's lips. 01 didn't seem to be very smart. He'd gotten injured in the same way before, and this guy was going to use the same trick again? Was this the braver he got, or was it the fearless hero? Lin Yi condensed a small energy bomb in his palm, and used the same method on 01's right hand. And so 01 flew out tragically, landing heavily on the ground. His right hand was a mess of flesh and blood. Qintian and Lingshan were both shocked at how Lin Yi crippled 01's hands in an instant, especially Qintian. He knew how strong 01 was with his hands, and he didn't have much of a chance with his iron fist. Yet Lin Yi did it so easily. Qintian couldn't help but shiver at the thought. Thank goodness he'd recognized Lin Yi as his boss. If he'd still gone after Lin Yi like an idiot and fought Lin Yi for Sun Jingyi, his iron fist would have been broken if Lin Yi had done that to him. Wouldn't that have broken his iron fist? After Lin Yi fell to the ground, he quickly climbed back up and charged at Lin Yi, but this time he used his injured right hand to attack Lin Yi again. Seeing this, Lin Yi was puzzled. Did this guy not know pain? Plus, using an injured hand to attack someone, wasn't that crazy? Was this guy stupid? Stupid? Thinking of this possibility, Lin Yi paused. He remembered the blank look in 01's eyes when he first saw him, and a bold guess flashed through Lin Yi's mind. Could it be that 01 was a person with no thoughts? Thinking back to how he was acting, it was as if he didn't fear death. There really was something wrong with this guy. As a result, Lin Yi didn't plan on killing 01 anymore. To be honest, he'd be able to blow up 01's legs and feet if he did what he was doing. It'd be a simple matter for Lin Yi to kill him with his bare hands if he wanted to. Website 7 by 24 hours of continuous updates of pure TXT handwritten novels. But now, Lin Yi felt that there was something wrong with 01 and decided to capture him alive to see what was wrong with him. Truth be told, Lin Yi was quite curious about the evil man that looked like him appearing in Songshan all of a sudden. Having made up his mind, Lin Yi took out a couple of needles and tossed them out. The needles landed on 01's body. 01 didn't dodge, which further confirmed Lin Yi's guess. He didn't have any thoughts of his own. Otherwise, there was no way he wouldn't dodge a hidden weapon. Especially 01, who was a mystic late-phase peak. Dodging these needles would be as easy as flipping his palm. How could he just let the needles stab into his body? Lin Yi was a medical student, and he knew the acupoints of a human body like the back of his hand. In an instant, 01 was frozen in place by Lin Yi, unable to move. To put it bluntly, Lin Yi's move was similar to Feng Nitian's heaven-defying arts. Feng Nitian used his pure qi to bind the enemy, immobilizing them. Lin Yi, on the other hand, used acupuncture needles to make the enemy's limbs numb temporarily, unable to be controlled by the brain. Of course, this move was effective against normal people and people who were weaker than Lin Yi, but against someone of the same level or higher, it was a joke. The enemy could easily dodge it, and this was the first person Lin Yi had seen who didn't know how to dodge. Lin Yi walked over and crushed the joints of 01's limbs, making him lose his ability to attack. He then put away the needles in his body, his movements smooth and fluid, stunning the audience. Before, many of them were shocked to see two Lin Yis at the same time. Lin Yi's face wasn't unfamiliar to them. He was the suspect in the video. But after seeing two Lin Yis, the audience wasn't stupid. They immediately thought of the real and fake Monkey King in the Journey to the West, and roughly confirmed that one of the two Lin Yis was good, and the other was bad. In the end, the good Lin Yi easily defeated the bad Lin Yi, and the audience cheered, praising the real Lin Yi for capturing the evil person who caused everyone to panic. As for Lin Yi crushing 01's joints, no one thought that Lin Yi was cruel. Instead, they thought that it was a great way to vent their anger. That's great. Let's see how he's going to harm people after he's crippled. A passerby said, "That's right, I said it before, this kid looks good. And he doesn't look like an evil person at all. So the evil person is someone else." A passerby said, "Yeah, he looks so similar, I think he's trying to frame him. This person is really evil." A passerby said, Chapter 1569. Chapter 1568. Victory. Lin Yi didn't bother with Ling Yi. He walked quickly to Lingshan and Qintian. Lin Yi didn't have the time to heal them, but he could give them some qi to heal their internal injuries. They were both practitioners, after all, and a little external injury wouldn't cause too much damage to them. Chapter 1568. Network Lin Yi carried Lingshan and placed her beside Qintian before sitting down cross-legged, one in each hand. He entered the jade space and started using the art of dragon mastery to heal them. Lingshan and Qintian both knew how amazing Lin Yi was, and so they knew what Lin Yi was doing. The two didn't say a word as they accepted Lin Yi's healing. At the same time, police sirens started blaring. Huaijuan and Lu Wangli were rushing over with their men. The whole thing had happened in less than 10 minutes. and Lin Yi had finished it in an instant. Huaijuan's speed was already considered very fast. Huaijuan and Wang Li got out of the car, and the first thing they saw wasn't the crippled Ling Yi. It was Lin Yi who was standing behind Ling Shan and Qin Tian. Huaijuan jumped when he saw Lin Yi holding Ling Shan and Qin Tian's wrists. He'd thought that the fake Lin Yi had kidnapped them, but the pained expressions on their faces and the blood at the corner of their mouths made his face even paler. What are you doing? Don't do anything rash. We need to keep the hostages safe, Huaijuan said. Meng Yao and the others beside Huaijuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but it was understandable. The fake Lin Yi looked exactly the same as the real Lin Yi, and it made sense that Huaijuan would misunderstand. Ling Shan had also misunderstood when she saw the real Lin Yi return. Brother Yang, that's Lin Yi. He's healing Officer Song and Qin Tian right now, and the one over there is the one who framed Lin Yi. Lin Yi's already taken care of him. Meng Yao pointed at 01, who was lying on the ground with all 4 limbs broken. Ah, Lin Yi is back. Yang Huaitian was overjoyed after hearing Meng Yao's words, forgetting the awkwardness of the misunderstanding. He raised his head and saw a person who looked exactly like Lin Yi lying in a pool of blood. Lu Wanli, bring some men to apprehend him. Huaijuan's excitement was indescribable. Naturally, he didn't believe that Lin Yi was a suspect, and the evidence against him made him feel helpless. Now that the real Lin Yi had returned and taken care of the fake Lin Yi, he was overjoyed. Lu Wanli was the same. He didn't believe in Lin Yi as much as Ling Shan and Huaijuan did, but he didn't want Lin Yi to become a suspect. It seemed that it was all a misunderstanding. Lu Wanli wasn't afraid of Ling Wen's resistance, since there was nothing he could do under these circumstances. Lin Yi quickly transferred his qi to Ling Shan and Qin Tian, healing their organs. He stood up and said hurriedly, I'll take Yao Yao and the others to their exams first. We'll talk after I'm done. Lin Yi wasn't speaking softly, and Huaijuan and Lu Wanli heard him. Lin Yi waved his hand at them, and Huaijuan nodded, not saying anything else. Logically speaking, Lin Yi was supposed to go to the police station to make a statement, but it was an emergency and Lin Yi had to take his exams. This procedure had to wait until after Lin Yi's exams were over. Yao Yao, Shu Yinyin, get in my car. Lin Yi waved at the 3 girls. All right, Shield Bro is finally back. Yushu was the fastest, opening the front passenger door of Lin Yi's car and getting in. Tang Yun and Meng Yao, on the other hand, looked at each other helplessly. Meng Yao said to Tang Yun, Yun, don't mind her. Shu is just like that. To be honest, Meng Yao was afraid that Tang Yun would do something to her. After all, Lin Yi was Tang Yun's boyfriend, and now that Lin Yi was back, Tang Yun should be sitting in the front passenger seat, but Shu took it. It's fine. Tang Yun shook her head nonchalantly, smiling. It's been so long. Do you think I don't know Shu? With that, she pulled Meng Yao's hand and sat in the second row of the car. As for the last row of seats, Lin Yi had already removed it, turning it into an ice coffin along with the trunk. They didn't see Xiao Xiao in the car, and they couldn't help but feel strange. Lin Yi, where's Xiao Xiao? Is she still in the ice coffin? Meng Yao asked subconsciously. Where's my partner? Yushu realized that Xiao Xiao wasn't in the car as well. Could it be you didn't find the fire spirit's fruit? Tang Yun's face darkened as she looked at the ice coffin. It's a long story. Let's talk on the way. Lin Yi guessed that this was what they were going to ask, but Lin Yi had to confirm the location of the exam room first. Where are you guys taking the exam? We're all in second high, you two. The 4 of us are taking the exam in the same school, but the venue is different, Meng Yao said. Your admission card is with us. Luckily, you brought it with you. Okay. Lin Yi nodded and started the car, heading towards second high as he told the 3 about his experiences in Frost Town, including meeting Zhang Naipeo, participating in the Ice Palace's trial, getting first place in the trial, bargaining with the Ice Palace, and finally becoming an inner disciple of the Ice Palace. Ah, no way. Xiao Xiao's an inheritor? The Yin Qi in her body is actually a type of Yin body that is rarely seen in 1,000 years. Then wouldn't she become a heaven stage expert in 2 years? Yushu said enviously, No way! What's going to happen to my partner then? Meng Yao and Tang Yin were quite surprised. They didn't think that Xiao Xiao would have an opportunity like this. Not only did she wake up, she became an inner disciple of the Ice Palace, and after receiving the inheritance, she had the chance to become a sky class and the master of the Ice Palace. There's finally hope for Xiao Xiao now, and once she becomes a sky class, she'll be of great help to you in the future. Tang Yin couldn't help but sigh. Even Xiao Xiao had become a practitioner and had the chance to become a sky class. It seemed like she was the most useless one now. Chapter 1570. When she first got together with Lin Yi, she thought that he was just a rich young master. But after interacting with Lin Yi, she realized that Lin Yi was different. Yeah, we'll have another bodyguard now. If you don't perform well, I'll fire you, Meng Yao said half-jokingly. In fact, she was quite envious of Xiao Xiao's luck. Oh, I want Shield Bro to be my personal bodyguard, Yushu said quickly. Meng Yao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She was just joking, okay? Tang Yin couldn't help but smile. What? Are you guys envious of Xiao Xiao? You want to be a practitioner too? Lin Yi said jokingly. Lin Yi, then do you think we can train? Meng Yao asked suddenly. Ah. Meng Yao's words startled Lin Yi. He'd only said it casually, but he didn't expect that Meng Yao. She was thinking of becoming a practitioner as well. Yeah, can we? Tang Yun asked. Yeah, I can't fall behind either. We're partners. We can't just let her be sky class in the future, right? Yushu added. Lin Yi didn't think that the 3 girls would be this interested in training. But training wasn't an easy thing. Not only did it require good potential, but it also required the practitioner's arts. Lin Yi didn't have any arts suitable for the girls, and the art of dragon mastery was definitely out of the question. Plus, the 3 girls were past the best age for training. They wanted to train. They could be like Zhang Naipeo, practicing some unorthodox martial arts for quick results. Or they could be like Xiao Xiao, who had great potential and caught the eye of a big sect. Or they could find some suitable arts for them and train first. And then Lin Yi would forcefully increase their strength. From the looks of it, the 3rd method was the most reliable. But finding suitable mental cultivation methods for them was not an easy task. Everyone had their own unique physique. It was not something that could be cultivated with just a random mantra. For example, in a family, the physique of a person who was related by blood. They were basically similar, so everyone cultivated the same kind of mental cultivation method, and this kind of mental cultivation method mnemonic chant. After many years of refinement and perfection, it was completely suitable for the cultivation of this family. Sects, on the other hand, were different. In a sect, there would be many kinds of mental cultivation methods for their disciples to choose from. Even so, some people still couldn't find a suitable mental cultivation method for their physique. As a result, his achievements on the path of cultivation were minimal, and he had no progress at all. Therefore, a good teacher is hard to come by, but a good disciple is even harder to find. This was also the reason why Xiao Xiao became a hot commodity the moment she came to the Ice Palace. But looking at it from another point, no matter how talented Xiao Xiao was, if she hadn't gone to the Ice Palace and gone to the Everyday sect or some other ancient sect, she'd probably be treated like a trash body. This was also the reason why Lin Yi did not let those around him who did not have a cultivation foundation embark on the path of cultivation. It was naturally easy to find a simple mantra, but it was not easy to find a suitable mantra. Everyone's physique is different. Not everyone can become a cultivator. Not everyone can achieve something on the path of cultivation. Lin Yi pondered for a moment and explained, Xiao Xiao, this time you have to be careful. It was a complete coincidence that you wanted to cultivate. It's not that you can't, but you need to find a mantra that suits you. Otherwise, not only will it be hard for you to improve, it'll be easy for you to go crazy. Lin Yi could just give them a random mantra and let them practice it. As long as they got to the beginner level, Lin Yi could use his methods to forcefully raise them to mystic early phase. But if the mantra didn't suit them, they might not be able to control the qi in their bodies. Just like Xiao Xiao before she started cultivating, she couldn't control the cold qi in her body and would go crazy. It's so complicated. Meng Yao was a little disappointed after hearing Lin Yi's words, but she knew that Lin Yi was telling the truth. Lin Yi wouldn't harm them, so she said helplessly, Forget it then. Normal is good too. But can't we try? Yushu wasn't willing to give up. How about this? After our college entrance exams, I'll go back to my hometown. I was planning to bring Yanin, but if you and Yao Yao are free, why don't we go together? Just treat it as a vacation. Lin, he said, I'll ask my old man if there's a mantra that suits you guys. He's very knowledgeable. Let him see your bodies first. Okay, the ugly wife is going to see the in-laws, Yushu said happily. Shu, what are you talking about? Yunin isn't ugly. Meng Yao glared at her. Oh, I'm not talking about Tang Yin, sis. I'm talking about myself, Yushu said matter-of-factly. Meng Yao was speechless. Tang Yin covered her mouth and laughed. Lin Yi frowned. He was used to Shu's behavior. Okay, let's go together then. We're all familiar with each other anyway, Tang Yin said. Why don't I go alone? It's boring anyway. You guys can accompany each other. Tang Yin knew that Meng Yao didn't say anything because she was worried about her attitude. However, Tang Yin didn't have any hostility towards them anymore. They lived together every day. If they suddenly separated, she wouldn't be used to it. Okay, that's fine. Meng Yao smiled at Tang Yin. Although it took some time, Lin Yi's driving skills were top-notch. The car weaved through the traffic and finally arrived at the entrance of the school 10 minutes before the exam. Lin Yi found a spot and parked the car. He then took the exam pass from Tang Yin. Good luck. Good luck. Lin Yi said to the three. Shield bro, you too. Yushu raised her fist. Everyone, good luck. Meng Yao nodded. Good luck. University will be together too. Tang Yin looked at Lin Yi shyly. The four of them entered the school and separated at the building. They went to different exam halls. Chapter 1571. Lin Yi's seat was close to the window. The lighting and environment were not bad. It seemed that his luck was not bad. Just as he was about to sit down, he heard someone calling him, Lin Yi. The voice was a little surprised, but also a little familiar. Lin Yi turned around and was surprised to find that the person sitting across from him was actually someone he knew, Wang Xinyan. Lin Yi felt that the world was too small. He actually met Wang Xinyan here. Speaking of which, the two of them were really fated. When they took the train, they sat side by side. When they took the plane, they also sat side by side. When they took the college entrance exam, they actually sat side by side. Wang Xinyan obviously thought of this as well. She smiled slightly. What a coincidence. Yeah, we were actually assigned to the same exam room. Lin Yi also felt that the world was really small. Generally speaking, in the same exam room, the chances of meeting someone familiar was not very high. When the examinees were sorted, it was very unlikely that they would be assigned to the same classroom. However, Lin Yi and Wang Xinyan weren't classmates. They weren't even from the same school. Instead, they miraculously met here. Good luck. Wang Xinyan shyly smiled at Lin Yi. You too, Lin Yi said and sat down in his seat. Although the exam hadn't started yet, the classroom was very quiet. Lin, he didn't want to say too much. He simply placed the stationery for the exam on the table. Lin, he simply waited for the official exam to start. After a while, there was a commotion outside the exam room. Lin, he thought that the exam was about to start, but the person who came wasn't the invigilator, but a bald man with a cigarette in his mouth. Beside him was a blonde who helped him carry his bag. "Young master, you, please." The blonde respectfully made a gesture of invitation and welcomed the bald man called "Young master, you" into the exam room. What kind of crappy place is this? Why did they arrange such a crappy exam room for me? The young man called "Young master, you" frowned, looking very unhappy. Before, the classroom, which was still filled with whispers, immediately quieted down. Some students showed expressions of disgust, some were indifferent, and some who were closer to them were a little afraid. "Yes, there's no air conditioning here." The yellow-haired man also echoed, "But young master, you only have a few hours. Can you just make do with it?" Mother asterisk her, if it weren't for the family's emphasis on results, I wouldn't be here. Young master, you walked into the classroom while cursing, but he went straight to Lin Yi's side. "Here it is." The blondie was the first to open up a path behind Xinyan. He pointed to the note on the table and said, "Young master, you, please do it. If there's nothing else, I'll go back to my examination room first." This blondie wasn't from this examination hall, but another examination hall. He was only here to curry favor. Young master, you nodded and followed, but he didn't sit in his seat. He stood in front of Xinyan's desk and picked up the admission ticket. "Not bad, not bad. Little girl, you're from second middle school. Then your studies must be very good. When you're done, copy the answers on a piece of paper and send it to me." Songshan Second High School was also a key high school, but it wasn't a private high school, it was a public high school. However, the quality of teaching was almost the same as the first high school. It was just that it was more difficult for the students to enter the second high school than the first high school. Compared to a private high school like the first high school, all of them had taken the entrance exam normally. He didn't pay for it himself. Of course, there were still temporary students, but they didn't have a student status in number 2 middle school. When they took the college entrance examination, they would write their original school on their admission ticket. Therefore, when young master you saw that Wang Xinyan was a student from second middle, he naturally knew that she was the type of person who was good at studying. Wang Xinyan was shocked by young master Yu. She looked at the baldy in front of her in horror, not knowing how to answer. Wang Xinyan was absolutely unwilling to help him cheat. Putting aside the fact that Wang Xinyan hated cheating, even if Wang Xinyan reluctantly agreed, what if the invigilator found out when she was passing the answers? Wouldn't she be implicated? Can you do it or not? Say something. Young master Yu saw Wang Xinyan stammering and suddenly became a little impatient. "Damn it. Don't refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Little girl, do you know who young master Yu is?" The blonde slammed Wang Xinyan's desk and scolded. "Let me tell you, if you do as young master Yu says, we'll be fine. Otherwise, if you walk out of this examination room and something happens, it'll be hard to say. I heard that there's a perverted robber recently who specializes in robbing and harassing young girls." Lin, he was thinking about where did this young master Yu come from, but he heard this blonde suddenly bring the topic to the fake Lin Yi. He suddenly couldn't help but laugh. It seemed that this guy still didn't know that the fake Lin Yi had been caught, and he was still using this matter to threaten others. "What are you laughing at?" The blonde was looking for someone to attack. After all, Wang Xinyan was a girl. He could threaten her, but he couldn't beat her up in the classroom, right? At this time, there was someone who didn't have eyes who came to his door. The blonde suddenly became excited as if he was injected with chicken blood. He turned his head and pointed at Lin Yi angrily. "Stand up. What are you laughing at? Do you want to die? Do you believe that I can kill you?" The blonde couldn't be blamed for being arrogant because young master Yu came from the hidden house Yu. This hidden house was considered one of the top families in Donghai City. It was on the same level as the hidden house Zhao and others. It was even slightly higher than the hidden house Zhao. This didn't mean that there were many masters in the hidden house but it was because the hidden house was a medical family. There were many medical masters in the family, and most importantly, the hidden house had alchemists. Therefore, this also confirmed the extraordinary status of the hidden house. Moreover, it was said that the hidden house was a branch of the ancient sect, the heavenly elixir sect. This also increased the importance of the hidden house in front of the other hidden families. Of course, this was only a legend. No one knew whether the hidden house was related to the heavenly elixir sect or not. The master of the hidden house didn't explain this matter. In short, everything was very mysterious. Chapter 1572. Get him to the hospital. Earth rank and above experts were usually hired guards, not core members of the Hidden Yu family. On the web, this yellow-haired man was young Master Yu's servant. He was also a study companion and bodyguard, so he was naturally arrogant and domineering. Laughing at you. Lin Yi looked at the yellow-haired man without fear. But what made Lin Yi feel strange was that this yellow-haired man who looked like a gangster actually had the inner strength of an early mystic class. This also made Lin Yi interested in the identity of young Master Yu. Could it be that this young Master Yu came from an aristocratic family or a hidden aristocratic family? It was impossible for him to be an aristocratic family. Lin Yi was clear about the 4 major aristocratic families and 5 minor aristocratic families. The only possibility was that this young Master Yu came from a hidden aristocratic family. But even if she was from a hidden house, Lin Yi wouldn't back down. Wang Xinyan was Lin Yi's friend, after all. Plus, Wang Xinyan's kindness on the train had left a good impression on Lin Yi. Moreover, Lin Yi had a good impression of this pretty, quiet girl. Naturally, he would not ignore her when she was in trouble. The blondie didn't expect Lin Yi to dare to say something like that. Of course, he was only stunned for a moment before he came to a realization. In his opinion, Lin Yi was fearless because he didn't know how powerful he was. If this was in the small circle of the hidden aristocratic family's disciples, even those who were stronger than him would have to respectfully call him brother, yellow hair. The situation of a fox borrowing the tiger's might and a dog relying on its master's power was vividly displayed by Goldie. It couldn't be helped. All the hidden aristocratic families had to seek help from the Hidden Yu family. Whether it was a family member who had a strange disease or some low-level elixir, they had to seek help from the Hidden Yu family. This was also the reason why the Hidden Yu family had such a high status. It was the same reason why those ordinary aristocratic families valued Guan Shuamin and Lin Yi so much. Of course, in terms of concealment, the famous doctors in the secular world were not so important. Send him to the hospital. He doesn't have to take the exam. Young Master Yu glanced at Lin Yi and instructed the blonde. Since they dared to challenge the authority of the Yu family, he naturally would not let them off easily. Yes. After the yellow hair listened to young Master Yu's words, he reached out and hit Lin Yi without hesitation. An early phase mystic wasn't even enough to warm up for Lin Yi right now. The yellow hair's fist seemed to be extremely fast, but in Lin Yi's eyes, it was like slow motion in a movie. Lin Yi easily caught the yellow hair's right hand and squeezed it lightly, and the yellow hair's arm made a weak, crisp sound. Lin Yi didn't want to cause trouble in the examination room, so he controlled his strength very well. He only cracked the yellow-haired guy's arm, but didn't break any bones. It didn't seem to be a big wound, but it was extremely painful and swollen. 7 * the sound of the bone cracking was so soft that young Master Yu didn't hear it, but the yellow hair clearly heard the crisp sound of the bones in his arm. It was so painful that he almost cried out, but in order to not lose face, he gritted his teeth and endured it. At this time, Lin Yi made a move again. He directly grabbed the yellow hair's hair and lifted him up. It seemed that Lin Yi's action was like a street fight, but only the yellow hair knew that it wasn't like this. He was a cultivator. His lower body was very stable and solid. Even if his arm was broken, his leg was not injured. If he could be so easily lifted by someone else, then the other party's strength must be far beyond his. Thinking of this, the yellow hair's expression changed slightly. He didn't expect to meet a cultivator here, and it was a cultivator who was a level stronger than him. Are you in this examination room? If not, then get out of here. Don't be a hindrance here. Lin Yi directly carried the yellow hair and walked to the windowsill. Yellow hair, what are you doing? Hit him with true chi and cripple this kid. Young master, you was a little anxious. He didn't know what the yellow hair was doing. He knew the yellow hair's strength, but in the scene just now, from what he saw, the yellow hair didn't use true chi, but fought with Lin Yi like a street fight. Of course, other than the yellow hair himself, no one knew the real situation. The yellow hair was like a street fight, and when Lin Yi taught the yellow hair a lesson, it looked like a fight between ordinary students. It didn't look like a battle between cultivators at all. However, only the yellow hair knew that this wasn't the case. Lin Yi was actually a master with the strength of the early phase of the mystic class. Of course, this was only what he felt. Lin Yi was only one level higher than him, and he could easily deal with him. So Lin Yi suppressed his strength to the peak of the early phase of the mystic class and didn't release the strength of the late phase of the mystic class. Peak of the early phase of the mystic class? Although the yellow hair felt Lin Yi's strength, it was still a little unbelievable. He didn't believe that there was such a master among the students in the exam. One had to know that it was very difficult to have a cultivator in the secular world. Could it be that Lin Yi was from a noble family or a hidden noble family? But he had never heard of such a person. Just as he was thinking about this, Lin Yi had already opened the window of the classroom, and then casually threw the yellow hair down from the third-floor window, like throwing garbage. The yellow hair was an early phase of the mystic class. Naturally, he wouldn't be injured from this height, so Lin Yi didn't have to worry about causing any bloodshed in the exam. However, what Lin Yi did attracted a lot of exclamations from the other students. They didn't think that Lin Yi would be so violent, throwing someone down from the third-floor window. Although they felt that Lin Yi's method was very satisfying, since they also hated the yellow hair, the students were worried for Lin Yi. If he really caused a murder, then Lin Yi didn't need to participate in the college entrance exam. Wang Xinyan covered her mouth in horror. She didn't think that Lin Yi would do this. If Lin Yi really couldn't participate in the college entrance exam and became a murderer because of her, then Wang Xinyan would never be able to live with her conscience for the rest of her life. However, when the students near the window looked down, they saw the yellow hair climbing up from the ground as if nothing had happened, and his eyes were filled with hatred towards Lin Yi's direction. However, at this time, Lin Yi was already sitting on his seat, and he didn't care about the yellow hair at all. Young master, you naturally knew that the yellow hair wouldn't die from falling, but he was also very shocked by Lin Yi. Why did this person throw the yellow hair down? Why didn't the yellow hair resist? Chapter 1573. Therefore, young master, you was suddenly in a dilemma. With Lin Yi around, he naturally didn't dare to ask Wang Xinyan for anything. But if he gave up just like that, it would be a little embarrassing. What's more, he didn't know anything about the exam questions at all. If no one copied for him, he could only get a few points right on the multiple choice questions. He wouldn't get a single point for the other questions. He's actually fine? Is he filming a stunt movie? A student by the window said in surprise. The students sitting in other seats also leaned over. Sure enough, nothing happened to Huang Mao. The field that was originally thought to be full of blood was also clean. Wang Xinyan heard that Huang Mao was fine, and she breathed a sigh of relief. She looked at Lin Yi gratefully, but she didn't speak because young Master Yu was still standing beside her. Are you going to take the exam or get lost? Or do you want me to send you on your way? Do you want to be a Superman? I'll let you enjoy the trapeze treatment. Lin Yi glanced at young Master Yu and asked, I am. Wait and see. Young Master Yu glanced at Lin Yi and said hatefully, although he didn't understand what was going on, there was no point for him to stay. He definitely couldn't threaten Wang Xinyan now. Naturally, he wouldn't be able to answer a single question during the exam. What was the point of staying and wasting time? What's more, young Master Yu wanted to find Brother Huang Maoan quickly and ask him what happened just now. Why didn't he resist, but was thrown downstairs by Lin Yi instead? Oh, Lin Yi responded faintly. Young Master, Yu suddenly felt that he had lost face. His words were just for show, but he didn't take it seriously at all. Even if Lin Yi said, Who's afraid of who? It was still better than now. Now Lin Yi's simple. Oh, it was simply ignoring him. Young Master Yu looked at Lin Yi with resentment, remembered his appearance and the name on the admission ticket, and then left the examination room without looking back. After young Master Yu left the examination room, the candidates in the examination room suddenly burst into laughter. Lin Yi's actions were to everyone's satisfaction. Previously, they saw young Master Yu and the yellow-haired man's ferocious look. Although they were disgusted, they didn't dare to say anything. After all, everyone was here to participate in the exam. No one wanted to cause trouble. If they could endure it, they would naturally endure it. However, Lin Yi's actions represented their sincerity. At this time, they were naturally very happy. Someone spontaneously applauded for Lin Yi. You didn't suffer from any shock, did you? It won't affect your mood, will it? Lin Yi turned to Xinyan. I won't. Xinyan shook her head before. Thank you so much. It's nothing. Lin Yi was just about to ask Xinyan how things were going in Yanjing when the exam bell rang. The exam was about to begin, and the invigilator walked into the exam hall. The classroom became quiet as well. Lin Yi smiled at Xinyan, but didn't say anything. He adjusted his state and prepared for the exam. After being humiliated by Lin Yi, young Master Yu didn't have the mood to continue participating in the exam. After leaving the building, he saw the yellow-haired man standing on the field waiting. He couldn't help but feel annoyed. He said angrily, What are you doing? Why did you let him throw you down? Do you really want to be a plane? Why didn't you teach him a lesson? You made me, your young master, lose face. Young Master Yu, it's not that I don't want to, but the opponent is too strong. He's a master at the peak of the early phase of the mystic class. He's one level higher than me. I have no chance of winning at all. I don't even have the chance to resist. The yellow-haired man smiled bitterly. What? You said he's a master at the peak of the early phase of the mystic class? How is that possible? How can there be such a powerful master in a small Songshan city? Young Master Yu was shocked after hearing the yellow-haired man's words. Is there a hidden house here? I've never heard of a hidden house, but there are a few descendants of noble houses. It's just that in our family's information, there's no such person in the younger generation. The yellow-haired man said. Could it be a solo practitioner? Young Master Yu was stunned. That's possible. The yellow-haired man nodded because other than that, he couldn't think of any other possibilities. I really didn't expect that in a small place like Songshan City, there would be crouching tigers and hidden dragons. If I knew it would be like this, I would have come here to play. Young Master, you said proudly. He said this because he put himself in a very high position. He wanted to find an excuse for being humiliated by Lin Yi. What he meant was that he didn't put the practitioners here in his eyes at all. Now it seemed that it was a little interesting. It was just that he underestimated the enemy before. They're just a few shrimp soldiers and crab generals. How can they enter young Master Yu's eyes? The yellow-haired man said, Young Master Yu, the purple hair and the others aren't in this exam hall. Do you need to call them over? The purple hair was also one of young Master Yu's followers. He was also a master recruited by the Yu family. To put it bluntly, these people were some practitioners who weren't welcomed by other hidden houses and small sects, so they relied on the hidden Yu family. With the support of a large number of medicinal pills and elixirs from the hidden Yu family, they had some achievements on the path of cultivation. Young Master Yu wasn't originally a student of Songshan City, but he caused some trouble in Donghai City School. He also injured a disciple who was responsible for making money outside. The hidden Yu family couldn't protect him anymore, so they could only transfer young Master Yu to Songshan City to avoid the limelight. Naturally, his followers also transferred over. It was just that after young Master Yu transferred over, he didn't come to Songshan City for a day. He just ate, drank, and played outside every day. The college entrance examination was just a formality for young Master Yu. With the hidden Yu family's financial resources, it wasn't a problem for these people to go to college. However, the old man of the Yu family was an alchemist and also a learned person, so he attached more importance to academics. Naturally, he wanted his family's children to go to college with their own ability. However, this young Master Yu wasn't the direct descendant of the hidden Yu family. So, even if he went to college, he would only get a smile from the old man of the Yu family and get some rewards. Therefore, young Master Yu didn't care very much. Chapter 1574. Faded, and that girl, she looks pretty good. White and tender. I like this kind of good student girl the most. Keep an eye on her later. Young Master Yu ordered the blonde. 7 asterisk. Don't worry, young Master Yu. I'll get it done. The blonde had been with young Master Yu for so long and knew his hobbies like the back of his hand. Every time young Master Yu harmed a girl, he was the one who helped. In the exam room, Lin Yi still didn't know that young Master Yu was already looking for someone downstairs. If Lin Yi knew that this kid was so evil, he would have done something to him. The first morning exam ended quickly. Although Lin Yi had finished the paper, he didn't hand it in early. Similarly, Lin Yi also saw that Wang Xinyan had already finished answering the questions, but she was seriously checking them over and over again. After handing in the paper, Lin Yi and Wang Xinyan walked out of the exam room side by side. You, Lin Yi and Wang Xinyan spoke almost at the same time. You first. Wang Xinyan said to Lin Yi. You first. Lin Yi said at the same time. How did you do? The two asked in unison again. After that, the two couldn't help but look at each other and laugh. They both felt that it was unbelievable for each other. Speaking of which, Lin Yi felt that it was really fate between him and Wang Xinyan. There were too many coincidences between them. Whether it was going out or taking an exam, he would always accidentally meet her. It's all right. Wang Xinyan smiled. Thank you for what you did just now, but your method was a bit too dangerous. In Wang Xinyan's eyes, Lin Yi was an incredible person. From the first time she saw him, it was full of inconceivable. On the train, he was cheated by a few scammers. She even foolishly wanted to remind him. But when she got off the train, she found out that the scammers' money all fell into Lin Yi's backpack. The second time was in the commercial district. He was mistaken for hitting someone with his car. As a result, Lin Yi quickly woke up the old man and helped him out. This time, however, was even more frightening. Lin Yi had thrown the person who'd pissed her off out of the window on the 3rd floor. Thank goodness that person was fine. Lin Yi would have been a murderer otherwise. It's not dangerous. That person is a cultivator. He won't fall to his death. Lin Yi knew that Xinyan was related to House Xiao, and that she must know about practitioners as well. He explained it to her honestly. Cultivator? It can't be, right? So, you're a practitioner too? Xinyan's eyes were wide as she looked at Lin Yi curiously. Although the term cultivator wasn't unfamiliar to Xinyan, it was still a bit distant. The Xiao family was one of the noble houses, but other than Uncle Pai, there weren't any other practitioners in the Xiao family. After Uncle Pai died, there were a few more practitioners, but the Shao family had already canceled their engagement with the Kong family, and the Shao family never contacted Xinyan again. Naturally, Xinyan's relationship with the Shao family had faded. So even if Xinyan knew about cultivators, it was just hearsay. She'd never even seen Uncle Pai's face, and the only cultivator she'd ever met was Wu Qintian. At that time, Xinyan thought that cultivators were something far away from her, out of reach. But she didn't expect that Lin Yi was a practitioner. At this time, Xinyan finally understood why Lin Yi was so strong. He was a practitioner. Naturally, for a practitioner, tricking a couple of scammers, saving a normal person, or throwing that blondie out of a window wasn't anything strange. Yes, I'm a bit stronger than him. Lin Yi smiled. How are you? Did you solve your problems in Yanjing? Aren't you getting engaged to Kong Xiaolong? The relationship between Lin Yi and Xinyan was a little weird. It was like the kind of friendship between gentlemen, but it was warmer than normal friends. There wasn't too much of a relationship between a man and a woman. There wasn't any kind of passion between the two, but there was an indescribable tacit understanding between them. House Xiao and House Kong are at loggerheads, so there's no point in me getting married anymore. Xinyan said with a self-mocking shrug. I'm just a tool for their marriage alliance. They'll pick me up when they need me, and they won't care about me when they don't. But isn't this better? At least you don't have to marry someone you don't like anymore. Lin Yi could hear the bitterness in Xinyan's voice and comforted her. Yes, it's better this way. Xinyan smiled. This way, I can come back and go to school peacefully. The two walked out of the school building together. Lin Yi said to Xinyan, I'm waiting for someone here. Do you want to go first, or do you want to come later? Girlfriend? Xinyan asked subconsciously. She saw Xiao Xiao in Yanjing before, so naturally she thought it was Xiao Xiao. Yeah. Lin Yi didn't deny it. Then I'll go first. I won't bother you guys anymore. Xinyan smiled and waved at Lin Yi before walking quickly to the school gate. At this time, Purple and Blue Hair were already waiting with Master Yu and Blondie at the entrance of the exam hall, staring at the students coming out of the school gate. Students kept a respectful distance from these people, who obviously didn't look like good people. Xinyan saw them after walking out of the school and was shocked. She didn't need to think too much to know that these people were coming for Lin Yi. Xinyan turned around and ran into the school. Master Yu, that girl is over there. Master Yu stared at Lin Yi, and Blondie kept staring at Xinyan. He didn't forget what Master Yu entrusted to him. Why did she run away? Young Master Yu saw Wang Xinyan as well. He frowned and said, Bring her back. Blondie nodded and just wanted to chase after her, but he was stopped by the school's security at the entrance. Currently, people could only leave the exam hall but not enter. Blondie frowned. He wanted to get angry, but he remembered that this was the exam hall. If they really caused trouble, he wasn't afraid of anything, but he was afraid that his old man would blame him. One had to know that the old man valued a scholarly family very much. If he found out about this kind of behavior that caused trouble in the exam hall, Master, you might not have a good time. So after hesitating for a while, Blondie returned and said to Master Yu, Master Yu, there are security guards blocking us from entering the school. This is the exam hall. If we cause trouble, it won't be good. Chapter 1575. Chapter 1574. Don't dare to attack Lin Yi was waiting in front of the school building. Meng Yao, Yu Shu, and Tang Yin soon came out. Everyone handed in their papers at the last moment, so it was about time for them to come out. How did you guys do? Lin Yi asked the three with a smile. Not bad. The three girls nodded in satisfaction in unison. A while ago, they had made ample preparations at home and had done a lot of exercise books, so these exam questions were generally easy to solve. As they were talking, Meng Yao was surprised to see Wang Xinyan running towards them. She had some impression of this girl. Back in the business district, Lin Yi had helped her solve a small problem. Meng Yao had some hostility towards Linny back then, so Wang Xinyan left a deep impression on her. Is she looking for you? Meng Yao turned to Lin Yi and asked. Although Meng Yao wouldn't be angry about it now, she still couldn't let go of what happened back then. Lin Yi paused and raised his head to see Wang Xinyan running towards him. He was confused. Wang Xinyan, what's wrong? What happened? Lin Yi, that master you from before, found a few more people, and they're waiting at the door. Wang Xinyan wanted to say that she would wait for him, but after thinking about it, she was the cause of it. How could she push it away? Found people again? Lin Yi found it funny. Did this guy have a bad memory? Or was it that blonde's brain? He had obviously been merciful. Otherwise, it would have been easy for him to cripple him, let alone kill him instantly. Yet, this guy didn't disappear immediately and instead found someone to deal with him? What's going on? Tang Yin heard that there were people waiting for him outside the school, and she asked nervously. 7 asterisk. Lin Yi, on the other hand, didn't think much of it. He briefly explained the situation to Tang Yin and the others, an early mystic class master and a young master from an unknown noble house. Let's go out and take care of them. Then the helpers he found. Tang Yin was a little worried. Let's wait and see, said Lin Yi. Xinyan felt a little dizzy when she saw Meng Yao, Yushu, and Tang Yin. Why were there 3 beauties beside Lin Yi? Wasn't his girlfriend Xiao Xiao? Why isn't he here? Sorry for the trouble. Xinyan didn't know who the 3 beauties were to Lin Yi, but judging from how much they cared about Lin Yi, they had to be close. On the web, it's nothing. Tang Yin shook her head. She sympathized with Wang Xinyan. If Lin Yi wasn't there at that time, Wang Xinyan would definitely be bullied by Master Yu. If she really did as Master Yu said, then Wang Xinyan would probably be kicked out of the examination hall for cheating. My name is Wang Xinyan. Nice to meet you. Xinyan heard Tang Yin's words and felt relieved. I'm Tang Yin, Lin Yi's girlfriend. Nice to meet you, Tang Yin said and introduced Meng Yao and Yushu to Xinyan. Tang Yin said as she introduced Meng Yao and Yushu to Xinyan. This is Meng Yao, my good friend, and this is Yushu, Meng Yao's good sister and my good friend. Hello, I'm Shield Bro's small wife. Yushu greeted Xinyan. Shield Bro? Xinyan was slightly surprised. It's Lin Yi, Tang Yin explained with a smile. That's Shu's personality. She likes to joke around. It'll be fine once you get used to it. Oh. Xinyan looked at Tang Yin strangely. Why wasn't she angry when someone said she was her boyfriend's small wife? Right. Xinyan thought of Xiao Xiao abruptly and looked at Lin Yi strangely. She wanted to ask, but didn't know if she'd cause trouble for Lin Yi if she just said it out loud. What if it was his lover outside? Or was Tang Yin his lover? So, Xinyan could only keep this question in her heart. The 5 of them walked out of the school together. Lin Yi saw the yellow hair and Master Yu, as well as the 2 followers beside them. Lin Yi knew how strong these 2 were. With Lin Yi's current strength, he didn't put them in his eyes at all. It's them. Xinyan pointed at the school gate worriedly. Huh. Lin Yi smiled. Don't worry, they won't dare to do anything. Won't dare to do anything? Xinyan was surprised. Yeah, if you don't believe me, let's make a bet. We'll just walk out like this, and Master Yu's 3 followers won't dare to do anything. Lin Yi said. Ah. Xinyan blinked. She thought that Lin Yi's words were a bit strange, but seeing Lin Yi's confident face, Xinyan suddenly remembered how calm Lin Yi was when he met a scammer on the train. Could it be that he already had a plan? But Xinyan still couldn't help but ask, bet what? Lin Yi really didn't know what to bet. He was just saying it casually. Naturally, he wouldn't really bet anything with Xinyan. How about, if you lose, you promise me one thing, and if I lose, I promise you one thing? Lin Yi said casually. That. Xinyan blushed, evidently thinking of more things. That's not good. Lin Yi shook his head helplessly. How about if you win, you promise me one thing, and if I win, I promise you one thing. But, sure. Sin Yan heard Lin Yi and couldn't say no. It seemed like Lin Yi didn't have any other intentions. Sin Yan was a little embarrassed that she thought badly of Lin Yi, but it wasn't Sin Yan's fault for being cautious. After the engagement with House Kong, Sin Yan was extra cautious, afraid that she would fall into someone else's trap again. Oh, Shield Bro, are you trying to lose on purpose? Yushu said with a smile. Shu, don't talk nonsense. Meng Yao saw Sin Yan's awkwardness. Sin Yan was also shocked by Shu's words, but seeing that Lin Yi was calm, she didn't say anything. And so, the 5 of them walked towards the direction of the school gate. Master Yu, they're coming. What should we do? Just say the word. Blondie saw Lin Yi walking over and said quickly. Chapter 1576. Young Master Yu, do you want me to catch them all for you? The yellow hair guy was actually drooling, but he knew that the person young Master Yu was interested in wasn't someone he could touch, so he was just thinking about it. 7 asterisk, sure. Young Master Yu nodded without thinking. He couldn't be blamed for being arrogant. To him, there weren't any hidden houses in Songshan, so there was nothing to be afraid of. To him, Lin Yi was just a wandering cultivator with some strength, so he wasn't afraid of him causing any trouble. Everyone get ready, the yellow hair guy said. No problem, everyone's ready, the purple and blue hair guys said. Although they were stronger than the yellow hair guy, they were both young Master Yu's underlings, so they were very polite to each other. Otherwise, if young Master Yu wasn't happy, then they wouldn't be able to get any spirit medicine for the month, and even the pill reward. However, when Lin Yi was about to reach the school gate, he activated the art of dragon mastery, and in an instant his strength as a late-phase mystic class was revealed. Of course, this was only detectable by the strong. Normal people wouldn't be able to sense it. The yellow hair guy, purple hair guy, and blue hair guy were about to make a move. To them, dealing with a peak early-phase mystic class master was a piece of cake. However, what they didn't expect was that the peak early-phase mystic class master in their eyes had suddenly turned into a late-phase mystic class master. One had to know that the strongest among them was only a mid-phase mystic class master. Compared to Lin Yi's late-phase mystic class, there was a difference of 2 levels. Even if the 3 of them ganged up on him, they wouldn't be able to defeat him. If Lin Yi was only a peak mid-phase mystic class, then with the mid-phase mystic class master as the main force and the early-phase mystic class masters as the support, the 3 of them working together would have the strength to fight him. However, Lin Yi was a late-phase mystic class master now. Even if the 3 of them went up together, they would only get beaten up, and their lives might even be in danger. This was only one of the reasons. More importantly, since Lin Yi had the strength of a late-phase mystic class master, then he wasn't a simple, wandering cultivator. For a rogue cultivator to reach the late phase of the mystic class at Lin Yi's age, it was unimaginable. The way they saw it, Lin Yi might really be from some hidden family. It was just that they didn't know about it. In this case, making an enemy out of Lin Yi was obviously an unwise move. The way they saw it, Lin Yi might really be from some hidden family. It was just that they didn't know about it. In this case, making an enemy out of Lin Yi was obviously an unwise move. To have such achievements at such a young age, this hidden family strength must be extraordinary. Although yellow hair, purple hair, and blue hair weren't weak, they were all above the mystic class. But their strength was completely increased by the elixirs provided by the hidden house Yu, and they weren't as young as they looked. They were young only because they took the medicine that was made by the hidden Yu family to delay aging. The purpose was to look similar to Master Yu. They could accompany him to school outside and play the role of protecting Master Yu. 7 asterisk, although the hidden house Yu was strong, it wasn't good to send a bunch of uncles to school, was it? If that happened, Master Yu would lose face. So in reality, yellow hair, purple hair, and blue hair were already in their 30s. It was just that they looked younger. but they had the elixirs to delay aging. They didn't believe that Lin Yi had it too. In this case, being a mystic class late phase before the age of 20, this was definitely a target that the hidden family would focus on. Not to mention the hidden families, even the ancient families would pay attention to such a genius. Because of this, they had this layer of worry, and they didn't dare to make a move. So, Lin Yi brought the 4 girls and walked in front of them. They didn't move at all. Only Master Yu, who didn't know anything, pointed at Lin Yi arrogantly and said, "Beat him until he's a first-class cripple, and grab all his girls for me." Hearing Master Yu's words, Wang Xinyan was a little worried, but Lin Yi gave her a comforting look and said, "Since when was there a mental patient at the school gate?" "What did you say?" "Master, you didn't think that Lin Yi would still be so arrogant after seeing so many helpers," and immediately became furious. "Yellow hair, do it, kill him." Lin Yi didn't care about Master Yu, but looked at Yellow Hair and the others with disdain, and said mockingly, "If you don't want to die, then come. You know the rules of the hidden families." The last sentence was said casually by Lin Yi, but Lin Yi wasn't very clear about the rules of the hidden families. But he said it to prove to them that Lin Yi was also standing on the same level, and if they wanted to make a move, they had to think twice. As expected, Lin Yi's words made everyone's face change at the same time, including Master Yu. Hidden families, this person actually knew about the hidden families? Generally speaking, it was already very good for a solo practitioner to be able to come into contact with the level of a noble house in the common world. To be able to stand on the level of a hidden family. Either they had very powerful strength, or they had a master guiding them from behind. After Lin Yi said this, he strode away with the 4 girls, leaving behind Master Yu, who was a little uncertain. To be honest, although young Master Yu was arrogant, he rarely provoked the children of families that were similar to the hidden Yu family. This was because he wasn't the direct descendant of the first wife. He wasn't very popular in the family. If he provoked an irresistible enemy for the family, it would be troublesome. After Lin Yi and the others left, Master Yu said, "Why didn't you guys make a move? Is he also from a hidden family?" "We're not sure if he's from a hidden family or not." Yellow Hair smiled bitterly. "Master Yu, but he's a master with the strength of a mystic late phase before. Maybe he didn't use his full strength, and the few of us weren't his match." "What? Mystic late phase?" Master Yu was shocked. Naturally, he understood the power of a mystic late phase master. He glanced at the few followers beside him, and they really weren't his match. If they made a move, they would definitely be at a disadvantage. This person's background is unknown. "Master Yu, I suggest that we investigate his background first, or else we might get into trouble." Purple Hair said, "Then we'll investigate it." Master Yu was a little unwilling, but there was nothing he could do. He had already made a big statement, and at this moment he could only leave with his tail between his legs. He didn't even dare to fart as he watched them leave. Wang Xinyan saw that Master Yu and the others really didn't dare to make a move, and she was very surprised. She couldn't figure it out, and when Lin Yi arrived at the parking lot, she was still immersed in the scene just now. Target equals underscore blank. Chapter 1577. The Fainted Old Man. "We're leaving, what about you?" Lin Yi asked, seeing that Xinyan seemed to be distracted. "Time. It's nothing. Why don't I treat you guys to a meal to express my gratitude?" Xinyan said, coming back to her senses. "No need for dinner. We still have exams in the afternoon. We don't have enough time." Lin Yi rejected with a smile. "But be careful when you go to the exam this afternoon. I'm afraid that Master Yu isn't satisfied yet." "Right? Why? Why didn't they do anything just now?" Xinyan couldn't help but ask. Their strongest is a mystic mid-phase. They're not as strong as me, so naturally they wouldn't dare do anything." Lin Yi explained with a shrug. "Ah, so that's it." Xinyan understood, but jumped up in shock as she looked at Lin Yi. Then, What's your strength level? Sinyan knew that the strongest person in the Shao family, Uncle Pai, was only a mystic early phase. Wu Qintian was only a golden class early phase. And this Master Yi's follower was a mystic mid-phase. How strong was Lin Yi? Didn't that mean that Lin Yi was stronger than the Shao family, Wu Qintian and the others? Didn't that mean that Lin Yi was stronger than the masters from the noble houses? How was that possible? Just a little stronger than them. Lin Yi said with a smile. He wasn't that close with Sinyan, and naturally wouldn't tell her everything. He was already treating her as a good friend by saying so much. Oh, Sinyan didn't ask much. Then after the exams, I'll treat everyone to dinner then. I'll be going first. Lin Yi nodded and waved at her before getting in the car. Sinyan, on the other hand, walked to a red sports car not far from the car park, the same car she drove in Songshan's business district. Shield bro, you're messing around again. I have to watch over you for Shao Shao, Yushu said after getting in the car. Hee, just an ordinary friend. With that, Lin Yi told everyone about Sinyan, including her relationship with the Shao family and the engagement with House Kong. No way. She's related to that old woman? Yushu's eyes widened in shock. Yes, but they're not the same kind of people, Lin Yi said. So she's a pitiful person. So the person she saw last time was Feng Shao Shao. No wonder she looked at me so strangely. She must have thought I was the mistress. Tang Yin smiled bitterly. 7 asterisk, haha. Yushu smiled at Tang Yin's words. I think so too. She must have misunderstood. During the afternoon exam, young master, you didn't come to make trouble again. Lin Yi's worries were unnecessary. It seemed that young master, you wouldn't act rashly before figuring out Lin Yi's background. When they entered the exam room, Lin Yi and Sinyan looked at each other and smiled, but didn't say anything. What a strange person. Sinyan looked at Lin Yi and couldn't help but shake her head. The second day of the exam passed uneventfully. The exam questions weren't too difficult for people like Lin Yi. The third day was the last day of the exam. Lin Yi parked the car and was about to enter the exam room with Meng Yao and the others. But not far from the exam room, an anxious voice called out, Grandpa, what's wrong? Why did you faint? Lin Yi and the others looked towards the direction of the voice and saw an old man lying on the cement by the roadside. A boy who looked like a candidate was anxiously squatting beside him, holding the old man's hand. Can you call an ambulance for me? I don't have a phone. The boy asked for help, but most of the people here were candidates and their parents. Who would have the time to care about this boy? Not to mention, it was better to have less trouble at a time like this. Lin Yi looked at the old man. The old man was probably suffering from heat stroke. Lin Yi hesitated whether he should go up or not. These few months had softened Lin Yi's heart a lot. Just as he was hesitating, Tang Yin pulled Lin Yi. Can you help him? Okay. Tang Yin's words made Lin Yi make a decision. He quickly walked to the old man's side and said to the boy, Don't move, I'll take a look at him. Ah, okay, are you a doctor? The boy was panicking when someone came to help him. He nodded as if he had a pillar of support. Yes, Lin Yi replied faintly and grabbed the old man's wrist to check his pulse. Huh. The old man's pulse surprised Lin Yi. Most of the meridians in the old man's body were blocked. According to the appearance, this old man should be disabled. It was impossible for him to walk, and there was no wheelchair nearby. What's wrong? Doctor, what's wrong with my grandpa? The boy saw Lin Yi frown and was shocked. Nothing, he's just weak from heat stroke. Lin Yi simply looked at the old man's condition and knew that the old man's body was weak from heat stroke. As for the strange phenomenon in the old man's meridians, Lin Yi didn't care. Although Lin Yi could repair other people's meridians, Lin Yi didn't have any relationship with this old man. Lin Yi didn't want to expose his ability in front of strangers. After Lin Yi finished speaking, he took out the silver needles that he carried with him and quickly pierced a few acupuncture points on the old man's body. With some simple massage, The old man quickly woke up. It took less than 5 minutes. It's done. Lin quickly put away the silver needles and stood up. Ah, Grandpa is awake. Thank you, thank you. The boy saw that his grandpa woke up and was immediately grateful to Linny. No need. After Linny finished, he was ready to leave. Wait, young man. The old man reached out and stopped Linny. Is there anything else? Lin turned his head and asked. Young man, your medical skills are good, said the old man. I know a little. Lin nodded. Young man, do you want to learn more profound medical knowledge? Asked the old man suddenly. More profound medical knowledge? Lin was slightly surprised and said, Where can I learn it? Learn from me, said the old man. I'm sorry, I still have to take the exam. Lin smiled and shook his head. He didn't take the old man's words to heart. He himself fainted from heat stroke. Lin didn't believe that the old man knew medical skills. Even if he knew, Lin had old man Lin, the miracle doctor, here. He didn't need to learn from others. The old man was a little disappointed. He stood up with the help of his grandson. Then you go take the exam first. I'll wait for you here. Target equals _blank. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.